All right, good morning and welcome to our, let's see, what is this, January Roundtable. We're excited to have everybody. And as I always remind everybody that there is the recorded version, so not as many will be live with us, even though that's our preference, but we will get this sent out to everyone who is a participant and registered. So with that, we have a very special guest today that I'm excited to join us and wanted to welcome everybody. So if you would help me welcome Dr. Steelman, our Executive Director.
Well, thank you for that introduction. But I just wanted to say good morning to everybody and really appreciate you connecting and just wanted to just send out information to you to make you aware that if you ever have anything, as you're aware, Jackie has made her self available at all times, and you also have availability to get in contact with me if you need any type of assistance. And I was looking for the chat because I was going to put my cell phone number in here because some of you already have this, but I know there's some people on here that I haven't been able to officially meet. But this is my cell phone number. And if you do have any questions or issues that you need to discuss with me, please do, because I'm not any different than you are. I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. There's no such thing going off and not being able to access a phone if somebody needs assistance. So please feel free to call me, whether it's in the evening or on the weekend, if there's anything that I can do for you, and get in touch with somebody here at the service center if I can't provide that information to you. But with that, I hope you have a good meeting and a good day, and look forward to meeting some of you that I have not met in person one of these days. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Steelman. We appreciate your support. Very important to us, and he's always available. So please make note of that phone number. Have a great day, Dr. Steelman. All right, next up we have our stand-in, Alan. How are you, Alan?
I'm doing very well. How are y'all?
We are great. Of course, Alan is from our local charter law firm. And always here to give us advice and some support and guidance on some of those things going on out in the field. So we appreciate it, Alan, and I'm just going to let you take off with it.
All right, thanks. Yeah, always glad to be here and to bring the happy and all the super happy, fun things that are going on. I hope everybody had a nice winter break. It's hard to believe that we are happy, or no, we're all pretty much already in with January already somehow. So yeah, it's time is going quickly. So hopefully y'all have a good stretch run for the school year that goes smoothly, if I can knock on wood here, without too many crazy things going on. I wanted to do a quick update. I think last time we met before the break, I briefly touched on Title IX, that we were still waiting on publication of the updated final rules. I think I may actually have more of a substantive update now. They're not published yet. They still aren't there, but the Department of Education has forwarded the proposed rule changes to the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, which is a subdepartment of the Office of Management and Budget, or OMB, whatever they call themselves, for kind of a final review. So they've considered, when the proposed updates came out in June 2022, there was a public comment period with roughly 240 to 250,000 public comments that were received by Department of Ed. And so they have taken some time to kind of go through and consider those. They're not required to respond directly to each comment, but they are required to actually consider them before they actually publish their final updates. And so it sounds like they've done that, and they have pushed whatever the final version of the rules or proposed rules will be to this other agency. That Office for Information and Regulatory Affairs has 120 days, or up to 120 days from the time they get it from Department of Ed, to actually kind of put their stamp on it and say everything's good, or to let Department of Ed know that, well, there might still be a few more things they need to take care of. If I guess where we are, that it looks like Department of Ed kind of pushed this stuff out to the other agency in December-ish. And so if they take the entire 120 days, that would put us into April sometime. However, Department of Ed's kind of their stated priority sheets that they push out have a March of 2024 release date for the final rule. And so it could very well be that either in March or in April, we will finally have new Title IX regulations in place and kind of pushed out. So, again, these proposed updates were published back in June of 2024. So we're getting close to 2 years since that publication date. And perhaps 2 years after the publication date, we will actually get the new final rule. One nice thing about that, if we can consider it nice, is that if it does come out in March or April, there's a very high likelihood, or at least I've got all my fingers crossed, that the proposed effective date would not be until the 2024-25 school year starts. There was some thinking when the proposed regulations first came out, or if Department of Ed had met their initial timeline for issuing the rules, it would have been right in the middle of the school year, and then we would have had to kind of change tack or change course in the middle of the year, which wouldn't have been fun for everybody. So hopefully, if things go as planned, we'll finally get these updates in the next couple of months. And then we'll have the fun task of going through and updating policies and procedures, all that kind of fun stuff. So that will take up a good chunk of my life when these things come out, as I've kind of been in charge of all of our Title IX stuff here at our firm. So I will be helping to push out updated policies and things like that. So again, maybe some good news in a way that it sounds like we may be getting these updated regulations finally in time to start off the next school year. Again, I've got all my little Title IX tickers and trackers and alert things set up. And so I'm doing my best to keep my eye out. And when it hits, we'll start working on updated policies and see what it is that we actually get to do. We don't know how many or if any changes will be made to the proposed updates from back in June 2022. Department of Ed may have gone back and tweaked a few things, so we're not really sure what the final one's going to look like, but we will be ready for it, and we will be pushing materials and guidance out as soon as we're able to. It also sounds like y'all may have heard that I believe it was in April of 2023, I believe, Department of Ed put out kind of a second notice of proposed rulemaking dealing with Title IX in athletics programs or participation in athletics, kind of dealing with potential protections for LGBTQ and I guess mainly for transgender students when it comes to gender identity. The proposed updates, there was a lot of scuttlebutt that those were going to be very sweeping and grant a whole bunch of protections to various groups of students. The actual proposed rulemaking was very, very short. That's not a very good phrase to use there, but the proposed rule was not very expansive or extensive. What they proposed to do was essentially add one subparagraph to an existing part of the Title IX regulations that essentially says that, if we adopt sex-related criteria for participation in athletics, and if we want to try to limit a student's ability to participate in a male or female team to be consistent with their gender or their sex assigned at birth, we also have to be sure that we allow for some, or at least allow the opportunity for transgender students to participate in sports that line up with their gender identities, unless we can show that we have some sort of important educational objective that would require them to stay with their sex assigned at birth, and things like that. And so we'd be looking at things, prevention of sports-related injuries, or fairness in competition of some sports, things like that. So again, I'm probably rambling and it may not make a whole bunch of sense, but the actual rule they proposed for this was very short. Like I mentioned, it was only one paragraph basically that was going to be added to an existing part of Title IX. But we anticipate that these updated standards for student eligibility for athletic teams will also be included in the final rule that is published, hopefully in March or April. So I just wanted to mention that one as well. I guess speaking of policies, we have completed and have started pushing out our firm's updated board policy manual. And so that's ready for distribution. If y'all are looking for a copy and you're clients of ours, please reach out and we can share that. Or if you are a member of TPCSA, you can reach out to the association and they can share it as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. And then I guess some additional questions that we've been seeing a lot lately. One that I've had pretty regularly over the past few weeks has to deal with House Bill 900 and the updated library material standards that the State Board of Education and the Texas State Library and Archives Commission were directed to complete. The HB 900, it did include language saying that these agencies were supposed to push out standards for classifying materials or library materials as, what was the phrase it used? Sexually explicit, I believe, or something along those lines. The final, or I guess the final adopted rules have been approved by both the TSLAC and by the SBOE. And so there are these new collection development standards that deal with, identifying and selecting materials for our school libraries. I will say, though, that the part of HB 900 that required the SBOE and the TSLAC to adopt these standards. Also, let me back up one more second. The actual standards themselves, according to law, look to only apply to school districts. It amends a portion of Chapter 33 that is not directly applicable to charter schools. Nothing in Chapter 12 was updated to say that we would be subject to this particular portion of Chapter 33. And the actual text of the updated law under HB 900 refers only to school district libraries. And the actual standards that were adopted by the SBOE and the TSLAC also only mention school districts. And so there is nothing in these new regulations or in these new standards that applies or that directly mentions charter schools. And so in our opinion, our advice has been that this could potentially be more of a voluntary thing for charter schools to adopt. And we also realize that not every charter school has an actual library. Some of y'all just have classroom libraries and things like that where students can get materials from teachers, but you don't have a central library, for lack of a better phrase there. But if you are able to provide a library, and if you do want to consider adopting these standards published by the SBOE and TSLAC, you can certainly do so. Our policy manual that we've updated does not include these new standards, and that was largely because, in our understanding, this particular portion of HB 900 does not apply to charter schools, and we are not subject to these standards for library or collection development standards. But again, if you want to adopt them, you can review them and check them out and make decisions. And if you want to adopt a policy, please reach out to us if you're a client, and we can help you put something together. So that's been one thing, again, that we've had lots of questions about. Do we need to adopt these updated standards? And I would say that no, we do not, unless you want to. We do realize that this is very much a hot button issue now. It is in the media, it's in the news, and we have seen lots of parents, or at least I've heard lots of parents who are asking for schools to tell us what our standards are for adopting materials for our libraries and how they can challenge things that they believe are too sexually oriented or that include inappropriate language or topics, things like that. So it's something, again, for y'all to consider locally, what your community wants, what your school wants to do, and whether you are going to be looking to adopt these particular standards. So hopefully that made some sense there. But again, if you have questions, please let us know. We can help out for sure. And then kind of a tag along, I guess, as I finish up my last couple of minutes here, I've seen a lot of additional questions come in with parents directly objecting to certain curriculum materials. Perhaps there's a book that the students are reading in their ELA class or in whatever it is that you're doing, and parents will say, I don't want my child to read that particular book due to the subject matter, or because, perhaps it uses language that would definitely be considered racially insensitive now, or that maybe has some more adult undertones in some ways. And so we have seen a lot more parents telling schools, my child is not going to read that book, or I don't want my child to read that book. And so the question is, what do we do in those circumstances? There is a provision of Chapter 26 that, it's debatable as to whether or not it applies to charter schools, but in today's parent rights world, I don't know that it's very wise to start challenging parents and tell them they don't have rights. But going back to that section 26 or chapter 26, it does mention that parents can ask for their child to be excused from some portion of an assignment or a curriculum if there is a religious or moral objection to the content of the particular materials. And so it could be a circumstance where we kind of consider and say, okay, maybe we are reading, like one of the books, I guess, that recently came up was Huckleberry Finn, I think, or Tom Sawyer, one of those ones. And we know that some of the language there uses some racial slurs that we don't really use so much and shouldn't be using, but it is in that particular literature. And so parents are wanting to have their children not read that book. And so we kind of have to consider, all right, well, how much of the curriculum is this? Is this a book that we're going to spend a week on? We're not really going to read the whole thing. We're just going to kind of give a general overview about what it is historically and why it's part of classic literature. It's been considered classic literature. Or is this a book that we are going to be devoting substantial time to, where we're going to spend, 3 to 4 weeks or maybe even more, and we're going to do a deep analysis into the story itself or the writing or things like that. If it's a material that is really ingrained into our curriculum, it's going to be probably difficult for us to tell a student, okay, we're going to find alternate assignments for you for the next 4 to 6 weeks. If you can do that, great. But if you can't do that, I think we do have some good footing to say, well, we can't necessarily exempt your child from everything related to this particular book just because it is so deeply ingrained into our curriculum. But maybe we, tweak some of the readings or whatever and say, okay, well, these particular chapters or these particular sections have language that we realize isn't so great. And so we'll give your student either a pass on that particular passage, or we'll find an alternate assignment or things like that, or, whatever we can do. And so it's one of those deals where parents want to say, no, my child is not going to read the book at all. And then it's going to be up to y'all to decide whether or not you can accommodate that, or whether or not those potentially objectionable materials really are so closely intertwined with your curriculum that you just can't remove them. So there's not really a great answer to that one. I know you never like hearing that from your attorney or from an attorney, but that's kind of the way it goes. It's depends type circumstance where we just need to do the best we can to make sure we're keeping our students safe and making them feel comfortable while in class and not exposing them to things that may be triggers or that may lead to inappropriate actions by classmates or things like that, or topics of discussion. Of course, if we do continue using those materials, need to be sure that our teachers are very aware that we need to be sensitive in how they are or how they're delivered or how the instruction delivered. Any classroom discussion needs to be done in a way that is not, harassing, where we don't start bullying or other sorts of things based on the content of literature. So I'll repeat myself one more time there, just kind of, review how much of the curriculum those materials are, and see if there is a way that we can accommodate by providing alternate assessments every now and then, or perhaps maybe we even look at for the next year scrapping a particular source material if we get too many complaints about it and we don't want to wind up with continuing complaints moving forward. And I believe that was my time for the morning. So again, it was a pleasure to see y'all again. Welcome back. Welcome to 2024, and look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you, Alan. I didn't see any questions in the chat. Feel free for those of you participating, if you want to come off mute and ask a question or clarify. That was a lot of information. So thank you, Alan. As always, you're so kind to bring that information to us. And I know you've been really staying on top of the Title IX
Yes.
updates. So we appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we will keep it moving then. Hi, Amanda.
Good
One of
morning.
our stand-in regulars, Amanda List, is going to give us some information in our advocacy world. So what you got for us, Amanda?
Well, I don't have, excuse me, I don't have too much this morning, but kind of give you a quick update on what's happening at your state capitol in Austin. And as Alan said, want to wish you all a happy new year. It's already hard to believe that it's already the end of January. So I don't know if that's a good sign that the year is starting off fast or not, but always good to be with you guys. I'm actually up in North Dallas right now visiting my mother, and I am having so much fun getting her mail every day and seeing all the political flyers that she's receiving, simply because living in Travis County, Very few Republicans are elected there, so I don't get the opportunity to read what is being said about these particular candidates. I know I need to get a life, but I find that very, very entertaining. So I have enjoyed being up here for a few days. Not your weather, the cold and the rain. I really don't understand why people live in a cold environment. I don't get it. So anyway, I regress. So the last time we spoke, in December, we were wrapping up our fourth special legislative session. There were rumors perhaps that we would be going into a fifth session. That did not happen. I don't think it will, but as you know, politicians do change their mind from time to time. But as of right now, I'm not anticipating us going back into a fifth special this coming year. You are all aware that there was no school finance bill passed during the regular or the specials. So that so unfortunately, that means that more than likely no new additional funding is going to be coming your way this next year. So with that being said, obviously that's an issue, right? I mean, we all need money. We all need, especially with inflation and all of that. And so obviously I am monitoring very closely the March primary that's coming up here in Texas. It's going to be on Tuesday, March the 5th. And what I'm watching for is obviously who gets elected in the primary, because in Texas, if you get elected in the primary, more than likely you are the candidate coming to Austin in 2025. There may just be a few seats, especially in the House, but more than likely, if you win in March, you've won the seat. And I'm watching to see who wins, because during the regular session and then the specials, Governor Abbott made it very clear to members that if they did not support his school choice bill, he would find candidates to run against the incumbents. And then our Attorney General said the same thing. Anyone that voted for his impeachment that happened over the summer, he would find candidates to run against incumbents. So there are more than a dozen races where Abbott has picked someone and Paxton has picked someone in a primary against the incumbent. So that's going to be interesting to see, again, how that all plays out. And then once, I'm assuming there probably will be some runoffs, simply because there are several races where there are multiple Republicans running for the primary, for their seat. And what I'm looking for is in April, when the leaves settle, of who's coming back. And that's going to give me an idea of what school choice looks like in 2025. And when I say school choice, I mean a voucher or an education savings account, not not charters. I think everybody knows that by now. So sorry. So that's going to be helpful to me and helpful for all of you guys as well, as we strategize for legislative session in 2025. What school choice is going to look like and what that legislation will look like moving forward, because that all obviously impacts you. So one of the things that I would encourage all of you to do is during this time, between now and January of 2025, we call this the interim. And I would encourage you guys to reach out to your local officials and let them know who you are, if you haven't already, which I'm sure you have, but just letting them know who you are. As you all know, there's so many myths out there, right, about who we are or what we do. And if school choice ends up being a big issue next session, which I think it will be, it's just important for legislators to know, that you are in their communities, what you are doing for kids, parents, and also just providing a choice within the public school system. So I am going to provide 2 links. One is, let me do this real quick in the chat. One is Who Represents Me. This is a really great site to, if you don't know who your legislators are, that's a really great site to, you can either plug in like your school campus or your home address, find out who your legislators are. And then one more from the Charter School Association, they provide some really great fact sheets. And I'm going to do that as a resource. And it would be a great background if you do have legislators out to your campuses. It's just, again, they provide some really great fact sheets. In closing, Again, graduations are coming up, in May. That's going to be here before we know it, since it's already February. But I would encourage, you to think about ways that you can invite your local legislators out to your campus, maybe have them as a graduation speaker, or if there's ever, in the school year or beginning of the school year in August. Just think of ways where you can have some legislators come out to your school and again, see the great work that you're doing to help, because that helps me as the lobbyist here in Austin. When I go into an office, they can say, yeah, I have this great school in Fort Worth, or I have this great school in, in whatever. And it just really it makes our job easier in Austin, promoting and supporting public charter schools. And it's so interesting when I hear Alan's updates, because obviously being in every pub ed hearings, both in the House and in the Senate, and I'm hearing all of these bills, right, that are being discussed, and then hearing and seeing the implementation of them. It's kind of like a full circle, of all the new issues and hurdles you guys have to face, on a day-to-day basis. And I know I've said this before, but just thank you all for what you do. And like I said, the more you can do on your end, it helps us in Austin do more on our end. So with that, I assume no questions, but I'm happy to take them if you have them, because I know everyone is just so excited about politics.
Thank you, Amanda. Oh, I'm quickly typing all that in. So for my resource page. So thank you for those resources. And yeah, I don't see any questions, but I know everybody's concerned about all those items that you mentioned. And I love, love, love your suggestion of inviting them out to graduation, or if you're a K through whatever school, 5 or 8, just any kind of end of the year program would be awesome. Just so they know better who you are, and as a collective who we represent. So that's great. I love it.
That's exactly right. And I'll close with this, that also, if we do have a lot of new members, right, coming in to the 89th session in January, that's a lot of new people, right, that we need to educate. And there are a lot of myths out there of what you are not. They say you have no accountability. You can expand whenever you want. Those are just 2 examples that we know are not true. So you're absolutely right that there may be even more homework for us to do, if you will, if we do have a lot of new members, coming in that are not familiar with public schools. So, but I'll keep you all updated.
You always do, and we'll look forward to seeing you again in February. I'll send you that information when we get closer. So
sounds good. Thanks,
all
guys.
right, enjoy your time with your mama.
Thank you. Will do. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. So next up we have our very own Gay and Glenn. What a duo, G and G. I've made you both co-hosts. So if you want to share anything, I think you may. So I'm just going to leave it to you. They're going to talk to us about some courses and resources. So I believe it's in Cisco, right? Cisco Academy.
That's right.
Yep, there you go.
That's right.
It's all yours.
All right. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that. We appreciate the opportunity to visit with all you folks here. And let me just go ahead and get started here. Always great to have something to look at, to just me talking. And Glenn, you can say howdy in a minute, or you can say howdy now.
Howdy.
Okay, Glenn will be doing the second part of what we're doing. I just wanted to give you a little bit of briefing on the Cisco Network Academy. It's been around a good many years, long enough that we have now served 15 million students. We have now currently 3 million enrolled. And Cisco Network Academy has been around since 1997. And Glenn and I have been around supporting that program almost that whole time, maybe a year less. And it's been a great ride, and we're really not ready to get off yet. So as you can see, it's a global it's a global program. And Cisco is really all about education. You may think about Cisco and think about, oh yeah, they're the ones who make computer stuff. Well, they actually make networking stuff, and they buy a lot of companies and they employ a lot of folks. We're partners with Cisco, and this is their largest, one of the world's largest corporate social responsibility programs. So basically, their concern is that we have a workforce for the future. And with that, trying to be innovative in our programs, there's really 4 aspects to the Cisco Networking Academy partnership. First one is Cisco, which is the ecosystem itself. The next one is partners. Well, we're a partner. ESC Region 11 is a partner with Cisco, and we provide what's called shipping and handling for Cisco Academy. So we support academies and we train instructors. And we currently have over 200 academies in 15 states and Canada. And we also train all over the world. I've trained folks in Kabul, in Germany. We've had other, Algeria, I believe, was one spot, the Congo. So with this venue, with remote training, we're able to do that, and it's basically seamless. Academies are what we support. That's the schools, government, prisons, libraries, whatever. Whoever wants to have this wonderful program can be what we call an academy. And that would include the instructors, the students, and the facility. And then we also map to employers. We have on our site what's called a talent bridge, where employers post jobs and students are able to post resumes on that. There are career opportunities, career helps in the site. We have a very large portal in which students and instructors alike have different roles, and they log in, they take courses, and they use those resources. So that ecosystem, regarding the Cisco ecosystem, that would include free curriculum. The curriculum is free. The updates are free. Glenn and I both worked on writing curriculum in years past, and it's a continuous job of writing that curriculum, doing updates. Also includes certification. A lot of our courses map to the IBC list, the Texas State IBC list, and you get huge discounts on equipment because you're a Cisco Academy. Really, the whole goal in this is that students will learn skills. There's a lot of students out there who have maybe graduated high school, maybe had a little college, maybe graduated college, and they don't have skills. So what we focus on are skills. And so all our courses are very practical. We teach the theory and the content, but the emphasis is always on skills development. So lots of hands-on activities. Glenn will show you that in just a few minutes, and of course, many languages. So when we talk about jobs, which is really important, a lot of people think, well, I'll take this and I'll get a job at Cisco, or I'll take this and I'll get a job at AT&T. Well, 9 out of 10 IT jobs are outside the tech industry. Every company needs tech folks to run their networks, to build their networks, most important, to guard the networks. So security is huge now. So there's a lot of jobs outside the tech industry. So we try to help people with that. So we have good pathways. We have good pathways for both high school, community colleges, etc., both in networking, cybersecurity, and there's programmable infrastructure, as well as data science. So the courses, if you were talking about networking, let's say you're on a networking pathway, you take the courses and you have foundational courses. Of course, you have networking courses. Students earn a digital badge after they complete a course. They can go on to certification. CCNA is a certification that students can get. It's kind of tough for high school, but we have some do that. They can then go to the Talent Bridge with a job matching engine and find really good jobs with skills. This is a little bit about our portfolio, our courses, a couple of these. I'll just go over that briefly. So we have some exploratory, foundational, and career-ready courses. Exploratory is like, do I really want to do this? So we give them a little taste. There's a course called Exploring Networking. There's a course called Introduction to Cybersecurity. There's a course called Introduction to Data Science, one of our new courses. And if students get interested in that, they move then to the foundational courses, which would be more networking courses. There's basics, there's networking devices, etc. Cybersecurity, if they get interested in cybersecurity, they can bump up to courses that are semester-long or year-long courses. All of these have labs with them, they have activities, curriculum is there, it's engaging and interactive. Then career ready, again, some more CCNA routing and switching. And these typically, we have many high schools now offering cyber ops as a capstone course in that particular pathway. So it's not just community colleges and universities. Network security is another course. And then continuing that exploratory, we have operating systems in IT. IT Essentials basically is computer maintenance course. And then we have Linux courses. We have different programming courses, including Python, C++. There's some digital literacy courses, as well as some professional skills. So maybe your school is not ready to offer cybersecurity, networking, or data science, but maybe you want to have access to some of these professional skills courses, entrepreneurship, engaging stakeholders. We have courses for English for IT, English for IT1 and IT2, to help students be able to communicate properly in this IT world we're in. So basically, we want to build tomorrow's workforce. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Glenn Wright, and he's going to give you a couple of samples of the curriculum and some things in it. So I'm going to stop the share and let Glenn Wright turn it over.
Right. Thank you, Gay. And as I transition over to that, just want to say the introduction to cybersecurity that Gay was showing there, one of those courses, it's a course that I've used in many different cases, and it's something I think every student should go through because it takes it from the viewpoint of personal cybersecurity and from the job side, how you would look at that. It's a great program that could be offered at many different levels. I mean, that could be a 8th grade class in there, a 9th grade class that you could easily work into that. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the curriculum, some of the activities and things that are in here as quickly as I can. So this is the home page of the course that we have created. You see, we can add logos and different things into that. This is where we can, that's our course management in here. We have our assignments in here. We have our links to the curriculum. And this is all part of it. We get a shell that comes in, and then you add your assignments into that you want on that. Once you're in there, let's say basic navigation. If I click on the course content here, I can open it up in a new window. We see over on the left-hand side, basic navigation. It's very rich curriculum. They've got videos embedded in it. We've got activities embedded in it. We have quizzes in there. All of these are part of it that the students get to go through. They've developed it in a linear fashion here. This is something that they've done in more recent updates to help with screen readers and things. So it is handicap accessible in here easily. But so I look across here, there are some other things up here at the top. We have course index where we can filter things in and out we want to find. So let's say I want to go find one of those module quizzes in there, or let's do a check for understanding first. Check for understanding simply is a little mini quiz after the student reads a section. Here's 3 questions about it. How are you doing along the way? They can put their answers in. I'm just going to randomly click on some things here. See what I do, say check my answers. Oh, well, I did pretty good randomly clicking. I got it all right. But I can reset it, I can redo it, I can actually go back if I want to do review and just show me. Along those same lines in there, there are module quizzes, which are the end of the chapter quiz. It's the same kind of thing, only it's a little longer because it's covering that whole module in there. Now, these quizzes are simply for the students, check. It doesn't go to the grade book. It's something, it allows them to kind of monitor, do I need to go back and review some of this or so forth. We do have exams that are built in, and say they have skills, work, and things that they can use going through it to kind of check and see how they're progressing. So that's, like I said, the index allows us to filter out. If I wanted to, filter and find certain videos and things, very handy navigation in here. One of the other things here is a great search engine. This searches the curriculum itself. So it's a global search within the curriculum. If I wanted to find where IPv6 is talked about, there's a direct link to everywhere that term appears throughout the curriculum in here. So if I'm looking for that to find some, more details on answering a question, or how do I configure this, this is a way of going about it. Kay mentioned that there are different languages and things available. One of the great things in here is I've got a language button up here. I can select on the fly. So let's say you've got a student that, speaks English, then they have, limited English. They need to really kind of look at it in Spanish, just to get clarity. I can click on Spanish, and on the fly, I'm in Spanish. I want to go back, no problem. I've seen it now. Oh, okay, I understand what that is about. I'm back into English. You can see there are multiple languages there that we can do that with. That's a great feature that they have. So I'm going to skip down into this fourth group here and just show you an interactive activity that they have in here. So in this, we talk about building the cables and things that they're going to use to connect your Ethernet cables. It goes through the different types and the connectors and things. But eventually it gets down here, how do we build it? How do we put the pairs in there? What order do they go in? So it shows them this, but then it gives them an opportunity to actually do. Here, they've got to determine, the type of cable they want and put the colors in there as they would need. Fill it out. Once they're done, then they get to check this and see, well, how did I do in this? So throw some in here real quick. Somewhere in there. Oh, well, we'll go in, but you get the idea. So there's interactive activities like this. There are some configuration activities like this also. We have a great simulation program that's called Packet Tracer. We'll pull up one of those packet tracers here. So built within the curriculum, these are provided for you, these activities. There are things there. So this is a basic switch and end device configuration. Very simple topology here. They've got instructions given here. It's docked right now. I can undock it. I can move it around. If I've got two monitors, I'll put this on the second monitor. Otherwise, I typically put it over here in the corner where I can look at it. I've got a percentage completion here. I can see how I'm progressing. Most of the activities allow us to do this. They have a check results, which allows me, if I'm not at 100%, get an idea of what am I missing in here. And again, most of the time that's turned on. If it's a troubleshooting activity, then they'll have it turned off because they want you to find the problem in here. But you can see I can click on a PC. I go to my desktop. I've got all different kinds of features in here. Web browsers. Here's my wireless connection setups and things on there. Many different things. We'll set up an IP address on it. Here's where I can set up my IP address. On the switches here, this one they actually want us to use a special cable called a console cable. So let me connect that. See how easy this is just to connect and go. So I've got to use my computer now as a terminal here. And There I'm on my switch and I can begin configuring in here. So it's pretty simple to get started with. They have some videos. There's even a beginning course to Packet Tracer, one of those introductory courses that allows you to explore and go through. I love it because of, beyond the scope of following these instructions here and doing the activity as it shows, it allows you to play what if. What if I do this? How does this happen? And I'm not on real equipment. There's nothing I can destroy in there. I can wipe out the operating system on the switch and no problem. I just reboot it and it's ready to go again. Or I can reinstall it in Packet Tracer. If I do that on the real gear, and I wipe out the iOS, well, that's going to take a little time to get it back on there. But the students get activities like this, and then they get the real equipment. As you progress into those career ready courses there, the CCNA level courses, they have real routers, real switches and things that they're going to be working with. So this is one of the activities that they have in here. This is what we call a logical view. Let me back out of this one and swap another one here. So this one is in what we call the physical view. I'm going to move those instructions out of the way just so you kind of get a better picture. This is like we're looking in a network closet here. And I know from the instructions, if I put that back over here, I'm dealing, this is basically the same lab that we just did, but in a physical viewpoint rather than a logical. So I've got to put my switches over here, switch 1, switch 2, and then I've got my PCs. I can pull them out of the shelf, drop them in. We can begin to connect these. I'm not reading instructions and looking see wherever, if it tells me specifically what to connect, where to connect. I'm just going to connect that Ethernet up here to a switch. I can zoom in, view all my different ports in here, connect it. There's a connection. So it allows them to build these things as they go in here and really get the experience. So this really began to get fleshed out during COVID. They added more and more to this because we didn't have students in class, but we want to give them the most realistic experience possible. And the great thing about this is students can download it on their home computer, their laptop. You can even put it on a tablet or a phone. Now that's getting pretty small to work with, but it's available to them to download anywhere they want to work on this and practice with it. Have them do it. You can give them challenge things and have, okay, here's what I want you to build today. These devices, configure it with these standards on it. Go build it from scratch. So not all the activities have to be built in the lab here. You can have them build them, from scratch according to your instructions. Gay, anything I left off on that that you want to jump in and add? You're muted, Gay.
Sorry, it looks good, Glenn. Maybe you could just show them some of where the resources are on the site on the portal, just real quickly, so that they kind of see all the resources available.
Yes, good. All right, so let me get back over here on the home page. So from here, we've got all the different resources here, career resources, here's Packet Tracer resources. There's a lot of marketing and programming things here also that you can get. There's information about the equipment in here. We have a course index or a course listing here. You can go in and look at all the different courses in here. So if I wanted to look in that networking track, what's available to me? We can pull that up and it'll get here in a minute.
That one is the slowest loading one.
You would know that's the one I picked. But
Yeah.
you can see it gives, here's a quick snapshot of some of those different items in here. But you can drill in and look and see, okay, what's in this? What's the course about? This is a great, I think at a high school level course, this networking essentials really gets them into that and does prepare them for a certification in here. It's a step down from the full CCNA, but it really sets that path. And you might ask him, say, the CCNA program is 3 courses. Maybe you can't fit all that into your curriculum, maybe you can get in too. And that's fine, because students go from your school to the local community colleges and things, and they can finish this program and continue on with other courses in this pathway. All right. Well, Gay, I think that's about all I've got here.
Okay. Sounds good. We appreciate the opportunity that we were given to show you all. We have our contact information on my last slide, and I'm sure Jackie has that as well. Jackie, we'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I don't see any questions. I am curious, do you all work with charters?
Oh
Do you
yeah,
have charters?
we
Okay.
we work with any organization that wants to become a Cisco Academy. Glenn, you might want to unshare your screen. We're seeing your email.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, there you go. So any organization that wants to be a Cisco Academy, for instance, right here, I live in Granbury, and there's a organization here called Forward Training Center, and they work with sort of displaced workers who really don't have any choices in education. So we have a Cisco Academy there, and they teach courses there. We have them in as I said earlier, in prisons. Sometimes schools will just offer this as a community service. They'll just offer it as community education. So if you're a Cisco Academy, that site is yours. You offer whatever you want to offer.
Okay, awesome. And you would be able to facilitate the initiation of that?
Yeah, we
okay.
take care of, there's a simple application, and it's 3 screens. You put in your information, it goes to a person who kind of vets you, makes sure you're nonprofit, and then goes to our manager. He approves it, then it's turned over to us, and we work with that particular entity and help them with onboarding, with training, with setup, whatever they need, we help them with. If they're local, we even come to their place and help them with their lab.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you, Gay. Thank you, Glenn. I love the
Thank you,
G&G. Make y'all the pseudo law firm of G&G.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have Laurel from the Texas Public Charter School Association. Hello. I got your email, and I just kind of set the resource to the side, and I will include that. So what you got for us today?
Yes, thanks for having me. I have several announcements from the association. I'm going to try and go quickly, though, since I have more announcements than I normally do. But for those of you
Take
who
your time. We're a little bit ahead, so you can
Oh,
take your
okay,
time.
okay. You're like, Laurel, don't rush.
Don't rush.
So my name's Laurel Garcia. I'm the Senior Director of Continuing Education at the Texas Public Charter School Association. And we are an association, which means you have to become a member to take advantage of some of the things that I'm going to go through today. So if you're not sure if your school is a member or if you're interested in becoming a member, you can reach out to Nadia Luna. You can even go to this website I have linked here just to see all the benefits. But quick note, actually, Nadia is about to go on maternity leave like any week now. So also I can help you with any membership questions since I'm on the member services side. Our organization is primarily advocacy focused, but Nadia, Katrina, and I are all on the member services team. So we're small but mighty. So you're going to see some of the few things that we do. On the member services side, we're always trying to look for other things to offer to the charter community, especially given how we just came out the last legislative session. We know that you all were expecting like some additional funds, and that's a pain point right now. And so we are trying to add more free resources for any of our members. So one of our consistent things that we always do is we have webinars. Very frequently, they are from partners that we have that you can form relationships with, as well as if you're looking for any services. But we also have webinars on there from TEA, from other superintendents and things like that. So this is just a little snippet of two of the ones that we have coming up in February. Both of these are from partners right now, but if you go to that website that says qualitytxcharterschools.org, you can see our entire catalog and all of the webinars that we have on there. They are all, it is behind a paywall, so they're all free for members. But if you are not a member and you want to audit any of them just to see if it's worth it, please just reach out to me and I'd be happy to extend anything like that. I'm not going to talk too much about the conference, mainly just because it's far away and none of our websites or anything are updated just yet, but they are about to be. So this is more of a remember to save the date. So we are about a month later than our conference normally is. Normally our conference is in September, but due to some contracting this year, we're going to be at the end of October. So the 21st through the 23rd, that's a Monday through Wednesday. We're going to be back in San Antonio at the JW Marriott Hill Country and Spa. And then just next week, we're going to have our call for proposals open. We love seeing proposals come in from the charter community. So if there's a best practice or something that your school wants to share, please come back to our conference website on February 1st or anytime during the month of February to submit that proposal. Our conference committee is made up of charter superintendents, and they rate proposals higher when they see that they're from like colleagues and charter schools, because we want more of that content. But registration won't actually open until March 1st. So I'm very early on all of this. All you can do is just sit and wait until some of this stuff opens. But I just wanted you to have the save the date. So let me go through some of the free resources we're trying to offer specifically this year. So we started a Science of Teaching Reading Community of Practice. It did start at the beginning of the school year, but even if any of your reading teachers, your reading specialists, anyone who supports reading at any of your schools, if they wanted to join and you're a member, we're fine with people joining mid-year. Again, it's a community of practice, so people are sharing problems on there that they're having, and they're getting advice from colleagues. They're doing a reading or some reading strategy activities together. So I have linked in here a survey that you can register for the cohort. And again, Jackie's going to send this presentation out, so you'll have all of these. But if you need me to drop anything in the chat right now, if you're interested, I can do that. But there's a few of the meetings that are still going on. They're trying to determine with the cohort that they have what date they should do in April, and that's why it says TBD. But it's virtual, so you don't have to show up in any one location, and it's usually after school. So that way anyone who's working directly with students, they're still able to participate in this community of practice. And then the biggest one that is taking up all my brain space right now is organizing some summer workshops. So we are doing a what I call a rolling road show through Texas in June. We're going to go to 5 regions. So for North Texas, we're actually going to be coming to Fort Worth, so right in your neighborhood, Austin, Houston, the Rio Grande Valley, and El Paso. We're going to be in person at each one of those locations on a different day. TPCSA is hosting this, but we're bringing in Teach Like a Champion to come and present this content. It's an all-day long workshop. We're going to provide breakfast and lunch, and then schools that participate will get licensing materials so they can basically, like a trainer of trainers, like you don't have to send all of your teachers to this. You can come, you can get trained, and then you can take it back to your campus with the licensing and train others. So there will be a registration cap, but for your area, we're looking at the date of June 4th. The location is still TBD. We're exploring some avenues. This workshop will be free for member schools. But again, there's a registration cap. We can only fit about 200 people in the room. So we're asking people to, again, send like a few people from your school to become trainer of trainers, not all 200 of your teachers. And so we're going to have like a kind of a cap per district. So that way no one fills up one region. registration for this will open on March 15th. Right now, I'm kind of beta testing the registration system, so I don't have a link for you. So again, this is more of a save the date. So I'm hoping that when I come and present to your group in February or March, I'll have like live links for things like this. So I always go fast, even though I feel like I have a lot of announcements. This is my email if you need to reach out to me. If anybody wants any of the links that I just went over, put in the chat, just let me know and I can do that before I head out. But that was everything. Do you have any questions?
Don't see any. I will just, for me, a quick comment. I love that the conference has been delayed. It gives, I know I always feel like I'm crunched to get my POs in and so I can attend, and so that gives us a little more time. So that's awesome.
Mhm.
And I love it when it's in San Antonio. That is such a great venue. So
It is a good venue.
yeah.
Well, great. Thanks.
Well,
everyone.
those sound great. And you'll just keep us updated with those links once they come live. All
Mhm.
right, Laurel, thank you so much. All right, next up, I'm gonna welcome Leslie. She's another regular on here to talk about the REACH program. So, and Leslie, you're up against a break. So no rush, just know we're gonna take a little stand and stretch after you. So hit them with all that information.
Yeah, that's tough against lunch. Okay, let me share my screen real fast. And then, okay, so like Jackie said, maybe there it is. We're the REACH team. We serve McKinney-Vento students and families within your districts or charter schools. This is our team. We have, a technician that supports us. We have 2 interventionists, and then we have a specialist who's an LPC. We have a lead for learning who does PD, and she can, and I'll go into more detail with that. And then there's me with interventions, and then we have a coordinator as well. These are just some of the services I wanted to overview, kind of what we offer and what we can do for you. So we offer professional development, program implementation and support. I know some of you guys have reached out to me with just questions, and I love it. And I love supporting all things. And so technical assistance is another one. And then we have a McKinney-Vento framework and rubric we created that just kind of where you can assess kind of your program in your school and in your district. Just to see where you are and your growth and your areas that you need growth in. We have an annual resource fair where we bring all the resources in our region to the ESC. And it's really just kind of like a walk around, get some information. This year we had a liaison meeting attached to it at the end. But great resources, and we break them, and we had just about every county in Region 11 represented. So sometimes it's hard whenever you're like in the Metroplex and you're a charter school in the Metroplex. I mean, it's not hard. You have lots of resources, but when you're rural and you're out in, rural county, you don't have a lot of resources. And so we tried to expand that. We also have a senior guide that focuses on McKinney-Vento students and how to transition them from senior year to the next level, college, career, military. And then also we have a shared service agreement with a grant that comes from the states, the TESHI grant. And within this shared service agreement, if your charter school chooses to join, and sometimes charter schools don't get enough money they feel like to join, and so they just don't take the money, which I totally get. Managing a grant is a lot of work. And so any kind of funds you get, whether it's, $2 or $1 million, we support all districts who join this shared service agreement. So we can do individualized professional development. Like, we'll come to your campuses and do the training for you. We'll do case management. We can do district support and resource fulfillment, tools and monitoring academics, attendance behaviors. We have a junior and senior day where we bring students in who are your juniors and seniors experiencing homelessness, and we provide them with just a full day of learning, and then emergency clothing and assistance. So just keep that in the back of your mind. If you are interested and you want to join the SSA for the next round that comes out, let me know. Or you can let Jackie know, and I can get you some more information on that. I wanted to share this with you. We send out a monthly newsletter. Here's the bit.ly for it. This is just our listserv. I know that you guys are probably on the charter school listserv. And so I didn't know if you wanted to join ours, you'll get ours as well. I know at one time I was sending it to the charter school listserv. I just feel like you guys get a lot of things. And so I don't want to overwhelm you. So if you want to join our listserv, it's there for you. It's the some more is has a lot of information and resources for districts. And then I just wanted to share our social media with you. We do post all things that we get from TEA or from any resources that we get. We share them out on our social media, Twitter and Facebook. We don't flood it, but if we get a resource for free, electricity, or the last one we got was free taxes, how to get your taxes done for free, and where they're going to have those set up at, and so we just post them out, any information. So if you wanted to jump on our social media and follow us, I wanted to share the links with you as well. And then I think that's it. So Jackie has my contact information. I'll share it with her again, but I appreciate you guys taking the time to join and allowing me to share our program with you.
Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate you. And I will definitely add that to the resource page that I send out.
Okay.
And I don't see any questions. So we are at a break, simply because I don't normally add breaks, but this is a long meeting, and we'll have Kelly Crane talk to us next about state and federal programming, and that's a more lengthy presentation. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to stand, stretch, check your emails, take care of yourself. So let's be back at 10:15. I'm just going to put this on mute and leave it up. So you go take care of your business, and then I'll see you at 10:15, and we'll get started right then. So have a great break and see you back then. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Jackie
All
Fagan, how's my
right.
sound?
Oops, hang on. All right, let me get my ears on. Welcome back from break. We're gonna go through the second half of our lengthy meeting today, and to start us off with that second half, we have Kelly Crane from Federal Programs, and she's going to give us some great information, dates, deadlines, and all the things you need. So Kelly, welcome and take it away.
Thank you. How's my volume?
Great.
Okay, thanks. I have, do y'all see the PowerPoint? Okay, I've shared these slides with Jackie, so you will get these after my presentation. Our Region 11 Federal Programs team includes Gretchen Kroos, and Christy Miller is our primary point of contact. However, she is out on medical leave, so I'm subbing in for Christy today. No one more than me is ready for her to come back. If y'all have questions, my phone number is here and our website's here. Just please note that we're experiencing a high volume of calls, and your call is very important to us, but will be answered in the order in which it was received. All right, so hot topic, ESSER reporting. This is the pandemic funding that we got from Joe Biden. If you have not yet started your ESSER reporting, you will get an email regularly on Monday from TEA that says you have not yet started. So if you don't have access to the Smartsheet dashboard, I have included instructions for that here. If you need to add someone else in your organization, the instructions are there. But please be advised, TEA is here to help. We're here to help. But the deadline is February 16th. So that will sneak up on you if you're not ready. And this is a lengthy task. All right, I'm going to hit some highlights for the Every Student Succeeds Act. While it is composed of multiple fund sources and programs, I'm going to hit highlights for Title I, Part A, Title II, Part A, and Title IV, Part A. And the reason I'm bringing these updates to you today is because TEA requires us to. So TEA appreciates your attention to these matters. You may not know it when you apply for federal funds, but when you submit that application in eGrants, you are attesting to the fact that you have read all of the assurances. You are committing to doing all of these things when you accept these funds. You may not know what all you're committing to if you don't read all of the assurances. So let's look at some of the highlights. You are supposed to have a plan at the charter level, as well as each campus that you serve. And I'm going to go through these at a breakneck pace so that y'all can read them later at your leisure. But if you have questions, let me know, or we'll just stop at the end. Part of taking federal funds is that you engage in meaningful consultation with stakeholders. TEA randomly validates schools to see if you are including all of these stakeholders, and it's a pretty lengthy list. So I wanted to draw your attention to the fact that all of these folks need to be involved in your meaningful consultation, which basically means how you're going to use the funds in next year. TEA would like you to know that if you have a parent at your school that's an employee of your school, that person cannot serve as a parent on the committee, nor can they represent a member of the community. Okay, in your campus plans, if you have Title I campuses, if you've served multiple campuses, 3 very important things. A comprehensive needs assessment needs to be conducted. It can be a summary of that assessment can be included in the improvement plan, and you need to conduct an annual evaluation. And what that means is what we're doing with the funds working? And if it isn't, what are we going to do instead? Lest you get concerned about meeting all these documentation requirements, there are a slew of resources that I'm sharing with you. Parent and family engagement, very important aspect of Title I. You should have a charter level parent and family engagement policy, as well as a campus level parent and family engagement policy. If you receive more than $500,000, you are required to reserve funds for parent and family engagement. Each campus should have a school parent compact, and then you have what parents' right to know. And on that note, we have a pending deadline. TEA sent out an email regarding the federal report card dissemination requirement. I've linked to the administrator addressed correspondence right here with all of the details. Just know that you need to get that done, and largely you can post it on your website at the minimum, but that's going to be due on March 4th, and that's an annual requirement. All right, that end, I've linked resources. TEA has made all manner of resources available to help you meet these copious documentation requirements, and that's essentially what it is. We might have needs assessments that you're conducting year round, but as TEA says, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Wink, wink. All right, another slide with more resources. The Title I Part A Capacity Building Initiative that's Region 16, no, excuse me, that's Region 20, and they have all manner of resources to help you document Title I compliance. But Region 16 has the statewide initiative for parent and family engagement. So if you don't have a policy for parent-family engagement, if you don't have a school parent compact, they have templates there to help you get started. And of course, we're happy to help you as well. We also have sessions coming up, and it may not be you that needs to attend. Feel free to share these slides with someone else in your organization if they need to attend these sessions to help y'all get your documentation in order. The links there, you should be able to click and register. All right, so I'm going to skip on to Title II Part A, the purpose of which is to improve the quality of teaching and learning. If you don't reap or transfer Title II or Title IV into Title I, then please be advised that you are also to have timely and meaningful consultation with required stakeholders regarding how you use Title II funds. And here's the list of required stakeholders. I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but this is one of those areas that TEA randomly validates. If you don't have these staff members, you can denote that in your documentation. Friendly reminder, a parent who is an employee of the school cannot serve as a parent on this committee or a member of the community. Okay, as I said, Title II is intended to improve the quality of teaching and learning. However, there are, as with all federal funds, strings attached. So I've linked the evidence-based activities here, but a couple of reminders. Make sure that what you're doing with Title II is aligned with our challenging state academic standards. And as you all know, those are the TEKS. So in Texas, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, whatever you do with Title II needs to support effective instruction of our standards, which are the TEKS or the TEKS. If you provide professional development with Title II funds, know that it needs to be collaborative, job-embedded, data-driven, ongoing, not just a one and done. Here are some resources for Title II. We get lots of questions such as, can we do this with Title II? Can we do that? We're always happy to take your questions, but I'll put the FAQs in here because probably if you have questions, they're answered there. All right, moving along at a breakneck pace. I hope this is not too much of an auctioneer. Let's talk about Title IV Part A. We've had some updates in the last couple of years. But before we begin, let's remember that we have to have meaningful consultation with stakeholders. You would think that these would be the same stakeholders across Title I, II, and IV, but they are not. They are different. Some of you transfer or reap your Title IV into Title I or Title II. You're not held to these program requirements. But if you don't transfer, please be advised of the list of stakeholders here. And denote, for example, if you don't have any Indian tribes or tribal organizations in your charter, you can denote that that's not applicable to you. Title IV funds are intended to support these three content areas, one being well-rounded, second being safe and healthy students, and third being effective use of technology. Since the devastating event in Uvalde in 2022, we have also received much state funding in the way of supporting safe and secure environments. So we're going to talk a little bit about supplanting, because depending on what you do with your Title IV funds, you may be supplanting if you are using it to meet what we now have as state requirements. So I'm going to skip over the verbiage, but I will tell you, a lot of folks used to use Title IV funds for things that are now required by state law. And since you get state funding for that as well as grants, just pay attention to what you're doing with your Title IV funds if you're using it for safety or security. So there are resources here to help you with that. Another requirement that was new in the last couple of years is this data collection for public reporting. So even if you reap or transfer your Title IV funds, you still need to go into TEA's work app system or the Smart Sheet system and tell TEA each year that you reap or transfer. If you don't reap or transfer the Title IV funds, then you're telling them what your program objectives and intended outcomes are and reporting progress on your expenditures and progress toward those outcomes. And we'll have a couple of sessions about completing those requirements in the coming summer, because we just completed that process for last year. All right, I know it's only January, but gosh, spring's going to be here before you know it. As you have opportunities, when you have stakeholders at various events, throw out a sign-in sheet and be able to document that you have stakeholders, i.e. parents and community members and others coming to your events, so that you can, if you get selected for random validation, you'll have some documentation, whether you combine some of these requirements in multiple, or you can combine several of these things in one meeting. I know it's hard to get, or other schools tell me it's pretty hard to get parents and community members to come to some of these meetings if it's for compliance chores like reviewing your Title I plan or your parent family engagement policy, etc. But perhaps you could have some of these tasks on an agenda for other events where you have a pretty big audience or more participation. All right, TEA has all manner of resources to help you. They want you to be compliant. We want to support you in being compliant. They've developed some great user-friendly resources the last couple of years that I'm happy to share. They are also starting a virtual training series. So if you have some folks in your organization that are new to federal programs and not benefit from a virtual training, they're free. They'll likely be recorded. So let's see, parent and family engagement. They used to call it the Parent Family Engagement Summit. It's now called Title I Part A Compliance Academy. We have an opportunity coming to Dallas in April. There's a link to register for that. And then TEA in the last couple of years has done a lot of presentations where, I will say this, they're voiced over. So it's kind of like viewer. But the information is there. It's recorded for you. The slides are there. You don't have to listen to the monotone presentation. And we just completed our federal program directors meeting for the fall. Actually, we had it in January due to some of our team being out on medical leave, but we'll have another one in May. And then we're having some sessions this summer for folks who might be new to federal programs. If you are not on our listserv, and if you're on this webinar, I bet you are, and I apologize in advance. Some of the information we have to share with you is explicitly directed by TEA. So if you're getting a slew of emails from us regarding parent family engagement, they just know that we're not implying anything about your parent family engagement. It's just the TEA requires us to disseminate this information early and often. In an effort to better meet y'all's needs, we've developed a needs assessment to determine who is doing the work of federal programs in our charters and schools. And so if you have time when you get the slides, we'd appreciate it if you complete our needs assessment survey. And I'm going to cut it off there. I know I went through that at a breakneck pace. If anyone has any questions, y'all let me know. Comments or concerns?
Don't see any. I know that you get questions frequently, and this is kind of off the cuff, but do you, what's like one of your most common question or
Right now,
challenging?
Right now it's ESSER reporting. It's like the FAQs depend on what's due when. So with ESSER reporting being due February 16th, I'm getting a lot of questions about how to enter that information in that Smart Sheet dashboard, or how to add access to someone who might be new to the organization. So I included that in the slides. Later on in the spring, and I just saw an email, TEA just sent the email today, that you can now amend your ESSA application to budget your carryover from previous years. So if you carried over any Title I or II or IV funding, you can now go in and amend your current year ESSA application and e-grants to add those carryover funds. So yay, I was not expecting that email until February. And I'm happy to help anybody that has questions about that.
And I know your team is really good about being responsive with answers or at least guidance. And I know particularly you've worked really close with our charter community. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. I try to jump in and help when I can, but it's a lot of new information. And so I've worked with Kelly as much as I can, at least getting you guys connected. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Kelly so that we can get you, or Christy when she returns, so we can get you the help that you need and the support that you need. I have, at the end of this meeting, I'll share my events page like I always do, but I do have all those dates on there. And if I don't, I'll go back through and add them. But I even did I saw an email yesterday with the SAFE grant was extended again.
Yeah, I did not touch on.
Yeah, I
That today.
know that is extended again to what, tomorrow?
Okay.
So just be aware of that. So anyway, thanks,
Thank you.
Kelly.
Thanks for the
Appreciate
kind
you.
words. Sorry I
Yep.
went through that so fast.
No,
but
you're
all the
good.
information's there.
And I will be sure to share that resource on my resource page. So thank you.
ma'am.
Many of our participants join us with the recording, so they'll get the information for sure. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. So I think I saw Shelly jump on here, and Shelly, I made you a co-host. So you're up next if you don't mind.
I
Jumping
am
in
ready.
now. Oh, perfect. So I'll give you the floor for Reading
Awesome.
Academies.
Thank you. I will share my screen. So hi, I am Shelley Shaw. I'm one of the coordinators in the Teaching and Learning Department, and I work with our Reading Academies team. And I know that, some charters we have worked with in the past, and I know that some of y'all maybe have worked with other ESCs in the past, just depending on where, your main office is. So I just wanted to kind of share the way that Reading Academies, that we do it here, because if you do want to go through one of the ESCs for the comprehensive pathway, you'll need to go through whatever ESC that your campus is actually in, because it does involve some face-to-face training and visits. So just going to give y'all a quick little overview, and then I'll put my contact information up at the end. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out. All right. So just a little overview of what TEA has set up as options at this point. We're in year 4 of Reading Academies. If you look at the bottom row for administrators, there's only one option available for the administrators, and that is that they will go through the blended pathway, and that is only run through ESC Region 16. The cost of that is still $400 per person. It does not involve any face-to-face days. It's all going to be online. So if you have any administrators that need this, if you reach out to me, I'm happy to send you the registration link that goes straight to ESC, and we can provide y'all with that. So the one that I really want to focus on is the teacher pathway. If you have been going through an ESC in the past, and you've been going through a different one, you probably know, or maybe you don't know if you're newer, that they have switched from doing blended for teachers as an option to all comprehensive. And what this means is that the teachers will come face to face to do all the work. They won't do it in that course where they're doing it online by themselves anymore. They'll still have access to the course and use that in their face-to-face sessions, but all of the sessions will be face-to-face. So it will either be 7 days or 10, depending on their path. So if you're getting new teachers that are fresh out of college or freshly certified, then they're going to have an STR certification, which means they passed the STR exam, and they can come to the 7 days. If you have teachers that came maybe from a upper grade and they moved down to K-3 and they need to take it and they've been certified for a long time, they probably won't have taken that STR exam, and they will have to take the full pathway, which is 10 days. And then the cost. So here's where it kind of delineates. If you come to the ESC and you want to use our cohort leaders, then you would just pay a per teacher fee, which is $3,000. And just so y'all know, that is set by TEA, that is not set by us. So that it's the same price no matter which ESC you use across the state. We have very highly trained cohort leaders. They've all been doing this for the entire 4 years. They're amazing. None of them have quit. They just love what they do. They're super passionate about it. We've had very high retention rates with them. So we think they're amazing, and they're just a wealth of knowledge, and they'll be amazing for your teachers. If you've got a considerable amount of teachers to go through, it might be more cost effective to do what's called local implementation. And this is where you would have a cohort leader that is your employee. And then what you would pay us is just a per cohort leader fee. So you would pay us a $12,000 fee for the cohort leader. They can have up to 60 participants. They would do the 7 or 10 face-to-face days, and then they would also conduct the 4 coaching cycles with each of the teachers. So that's another option that could potentially save you money depending on how many people you have going through Reading Academies. And so let me tell you, here's a little bit more detail if you're thinking about doing local. I know we've got several that I've talked to, several districts that are thinking about making this change. They're employed by the district, the cohort leader. This is the one caveat that you really have to be careful of. They have to pass the cohort leader screener that is done by TEA, that's run through them. I put a bit.ly link down here, and I'll share these slides with Jackie so she can share them with y'all. There's a bit.ly link with a link directly to the screener details on the TEA webpage. It's free for the teachers or whoever you're going to have go through and try to pass this. There's one coming up in February, and there's another one coming up in March. So if you're considering this, please make sure you try to get your people to take it. I would have them take it in February in case they don't pass. They can try one more time in March. It is pretty difficult. And they can take it more than once if they need to, but those are the only 2 that are going to be left that they can pass before they would need to do like a June start. So that's really important if you're considering that. Okay, and then our next cohorts, and really our next cohorts that we will have here, if you've got any teachers that you would like to send to us, we'll have one for June 2024. So according to the guidelines, any first year teachers that this is their first year to teach, they have to be enrolled within their first year. So June 2024 is the last opportunity to do that. That still counts for this year. Then looking forward to next year, our next start for next year's teachers will be September 2024. So those are our upcoming ones. There are other summer launch months. So if you're doing your own cohort, a local implementation, there are other options if you want to start in July or August, but we choose to wait until September. All right, and then anybody have any questions?
I don't see any. I do have a shout out. So one of the campuses that I was at a couple of days ago paid Miss Hart a huge compliment in how the Reading Academies at their campus has been accepted in successful implementation, and they're seeing progress. So she was
awesome.
great. Yeah, she was very complimentive of Miss Hart. That's the Texas Center of Arts.
Oh, awesome. I will
Yeah.
definitely share that with her. Thank you.
Yep. And just to reiterate, I want to make sure, because I think we talked about this off the meeting. And I know you kind of mentioned it, so I just want to make sure I understood. If they live in our region, their campus, regardless if, say, their initial campus and they are recognized by another region like Region 4, but their campus lives in Region 11, that campus must participate with our service center. Is that how I understood
If you
that?
want to use an ESC as the cohort leader, then yes. So like if we have a campus here that's in ours, you're not going to use Region 4 because that's, your teachers would have to travel to face in Houston and they would have to come coach from Houston. So that's not really a cost-effective way to do that. So then they would come to us. The campus that's here in our region would go through us. And that way you can interact with our coaches that actually live and work here.
Okay,
yes.
and that is a change, correct? Did I understand
That is because when we were blended, you could go
Mhm.
through a different service center based on, where your main campus or your main office was. And a lot of y'all did that. I know, I mean, some of y'all came to us because you were mainly located here, but I know some of y'all might have gone through other service centers. And we kind of have talked about that as authorized providers. So, I mean, if you're trying to go to Houston and you're up here, they're going to tell you to come up here because they're not going to come up here to do coaching and all that.
Okay, so we're all on the same page. That's good.
Yes, they should be. We've talked about it, so they should be on the same page.
Because sometimes, not always, does that happen. So I just wanted to make sure, because it can be very gray borders with charters, and so I just want to make sure everybody understood that piece.
Yes.
So,
and if you have questions, you can reach out and call me here. I'll put up my contact information here, so you can always call me. I get calls all the time from people just asking me to explain something, or one of the big questions I always get is, what does this mean? It says they have to take reading academies in their first year. What if they're not certified yet? Or what if this, or what if this? And so we kind of talk through some of these scenarios. So if you have things that are gray areas and you want to talk through them, I'm happy to talk through them with you.
Thank you, Shelley. She's always so responsive, so please take advantage of that. And I'll add some of those dates that you shared to my event page on the charter
okay, thanks.
webpage.
And I'll send you the links to these slides so
Great.
you can share them with them.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, thank you,
Thank
Shelley. Thanks for jumping in there. And I'm gonna ask the same of Lori. Are you there, Lori?
I'm here.
Yay.
You hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am. So I'm gonna let you talk to us. Yeah, about Connect to Texas. I got your little postcard thing that you sent me.
Okay.
I actually shared some of that on my visits this week. But I'm gonna let you talk firsthand about it. So
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so I'm here today to let you know about a great resource that is available for your teachers and their students called Connect to Texas. And Connect to Texas is a service provided by Region 11, but it is a network of Texas-based museums and science centers and state parks and different cultural organizations around the state. And what they do is they offer educational programs for pre-K through 12th grade via distance learning. We call these programs content enrichment programs because they are to, enhance the content that the teachers are teaching in the classroom. They are about 90% of the programs are free, and they are aligned to the state standards. And basically teachers can just go to the website and register for any of the programs that they want to participate in. And then we send them a Zoom link and connect them to that organization. I'll show you real quick what the website looks like. It's fairly easy to navigate. But the teacher would go to this website. Can you see that, Jackie? Okay. And if they click on programs, that's basically a catalog of everything that each provider offers. So they can kind of do some research in this area. Obviously, they're going to want to filter either by grade level or content area or even by provider. So if I want to see everything that Amon Carter has to offer, I can pick that provider and then see their catalog. And here it will show you the description of the program, if there is a cost. And if you click on read more, it tells you a little more in depth about if there's program materials, those standards that it's aligned to, and things like that. But excuse me, the main area that the teachers will want to check out is events. And that's where they actually register. So here, everything is listed by date and time order. Again, it would be a lot of scrolling. So I advise using the program filter. So you can filter again by the provider, by dates, and even keywords, in grade level and content areas. And once you find the event you want to sign up for, they will have to have a login account. But once they're logged in, they can click on the register button. Now, these are closed because of either registration deadlines, or if they fill up, they close. And you can see here, here's a register button. So they would just click on that and fill out the form. And they are sent an email confirmation. And like I said, then we send them a Zoom link and connect them to that organization. These are, a lot of people still refer them as virtual field trips and things like that, but they're really more than that. They are thought out lessons that the providers have created. And let's see. Did that show up okay, Jackie, where they could see how to do that? Okay, very good. And they are also multidisciplinary. So don't just think because it's an art museum that they only offer, programs about art. It may be, science. It may be literature, language arts. Everything can be offered in that one program. And it'll tell you those content areas on the website. If you need to contact one of the providers, we do have, sorry, my lights went out. We have a provider directory that will show you their contact information. And that's so you can ask programs if you have questions, about the content or the materials involved and things like that. That's really the only places on the website you would want to go. Now, I do send out a weekly SMORE about upcoming events. And if you would like to get that SMORE, you would have to go to the ESC website and sign up for that listserv. And if you've never done that before, let me see, I can pull up. Let me pull up Region 11 here. Jackie's probably showed y'all how to sign up for listservs before. It can be a little,
it's been a while, so we could all use a refresher.
it's kind of hard to find to me, but you have to go to the main page and click on programs and services. And then I just click on L, so it'll jump down to listserv subscription. And once you click on that, there's a drop down menu here, and you can see all the different listservs that are available for you to sign up for. But of course, ours is called Connect to Texas, and they can put their email address in there and sign up. And I send those weekly SMOREs out on Thursdays, and just, highlight 4 or 5 upcoming programs that are going to be available. And I will also provide my contact information. If you have any questions or, need help getting registered for something, I'll be glad to help in any way I can. Let me pull up my contact information. Can you see that, Jackie? Thank you. Any questions or?
I don't see any, but as usual, I have a question. Do you currently work with any charter schools, or do you know of any that are utilizing this service?
I can't think of
I put you on the
any.
spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that we've had some registrations from some of the charters. I don't know all their names.
Sure.
Is Newman Academy, is that a
Yes.
charter? Okay, so
Mhm.
they've
Yep.
signed up for stuff, and there's some
Great.
other ones that have participated.
Great. And you're available to assist them through that process or any questions, I think is what I heard you
Absolutely.
said. Okay.
Absolutely. And if they
Perfect.
want to do a short demonstration for
Mhm.
their teachers,
Mhm.
I'd be glad to connect with them and do something like
Oh,
this
that's-
just for their teachers.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be a great way to, no pun intended, get them connected to
Yeah.
the resource. So,
And depending on time, sometimes I can even bring in a provider and they can
good.
talk about stuff too.
Okay, that's great. Thank you, Lori.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yay! And
Yeah.
I'll get those. I'll include those. I do little goodie bags when I go out and visit. So, and that goes for all of our consultants or external providers here with us. I can provide little postcards like that or flyers condensed in my goodie bags that I take out to our superintendents and principals when I visit. So I'll
Okay.
be sure to include yours with ours.
And I have some printed if
Oh,
that
I would
makes it
love
easier
that.
for you.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because, getting a hold of a copier and making it in color
Right.
is a little costly, but I don't mind doing that. So thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
All right, moving forward, we have Laura with Texas Strategic Staffing. Hi, Laura.
Hello, good morning. I'm gonna drop a link
Welcome. Yeah.
real quick.
And I
Okay,
will add that to my resource while you're
perfect.
chatting. Thank you.
Make sure I'm sharing the correct screen. Good morning, everyone. I am Laura McKean. I'm coordinator here at Region 11, and just wanted to share some information with you around an upcoming webinar on Texas strategic staffing. And making sure that we have shared that information with our charter schools. We have, if my screen will cooperate with me, we have an upcoming webinar on February 5th from 10 to 12, where we'll dive into the intricacies of what paid teacher residencies through Texas Strategic Staffing is. We also will have some of our vetted EPP partners there so that you'll have some time to engage with them. And we know that right now, filling positions is a challenge for our schools, for our public schools and our charter schools. Learning Policy Institute had put out some information around retention rates, and currently new teachers coming into the field are leaving the profession within the first 5 years. However, when we contrast that with teachers who have gone through a residency program, we are seeing that teachers who have gone through a residency program are remaining in their districts anywhere from 3 to 5 years after they've completed that residency program. So we're seeing some retention happening through that residency program. And then even in addition to that, we're seeing improved student performance. So students of teachers who've gone through a residency program are starting to show that they are outperforming students who have teachers that were non-residents. So I think that's some really interesting data, and we'll talk more about that during the session itself. But I also want to make sure that I really just kind of share out what is strategic staffing. We talk about it, but what is it? And so it is a 2-year process where our districts, our EPPs, and the ESC engage in designing and implementing a residency program.
through looking at reallocation and reinvesting district resources to compensate residents so that they will be taking on additional responsibilities in conjunction with their residency. And we'll dive into what that means and what that looks like during the webinar itself. The 2-year involvement with the districts and the EPPs allows for a really thorough design phase that supports ensuring the implementation of the program is successful. And so we go through this entire 2-year process, really diving into all the details of design phase and planning goals and what that looks like to meet those goals in year 1. And then we monitor all of that through year 2 of your implementation phase. We know that teacher preparation matters. Even it's always mattered, but it feels like it matters even more so these days. And so your strategic staffing really provides one-on-one support to your resident, which then reduces the learning curve in their first year. It improves student performance, and then it creates a strong teacher pipeline for our districts, and it also supports teacher retention. Benefits that you'll see from a residence program is that your residents, again, are able to fulfill instructional needs in conjunction with their co-teaching requirements for that residency. So that could be residents act as substitutes. They could act as tutors or paraprofessionals. Again, we dive into the depths of that during your design year on what that looks like for that district. Additional long-term benefits that we see with strategic staffing is that the resident is prepared in your district, building community with your community members, your staff, and your students during their residency. They're ready to enter their classroom in your district because they've been trained by your mentors, your district way, day 1 upon completion of the residency. And so it's almost like a year-long interview process. We've got a few schools that are engaged in that. We have one charter school that's engaged in this work right now, and that's Chapel Hill. They're in their implementation year this year. So I'm happy to share any other information, or I'd love for you again to join us February 5th from 10 to 12 around strategic staffing to kind of get into the weeds of what that is, what that looks like, and what that could look like for your district. That's all I have. Any questions?
Awesome. And you answered mine. I wanted to know who you were working with. So thank you for that. And so, Victoria was on this call. I think she might still be, she was driving though. So, she may not, but I know that, the teacher shortage and staffing is probably the number one concern I hear when I'm out in the field. Which we could have all assumed that, but I just wanted to reiterate that this is an excellent resource for our charter leaders to, at the very least, look into on the 5th of February and see if it's a good fit for you all. But I know that is a major, major concern, even more so when we think about projecting into the fall. And so taking advantage of this now, or at least understanding the resource for you and this program is very beneficial. So thanks, Laura.
Thank you,
appreciate
Jackie.
it. All right, Christy, thanks for jumping on early.
Absolutely, no problem.
Yay. Looking forward to all the information that you have. And do you have slides? I made you a co-host.
I do. Thank you.
And you'll share those with me?
I will. Yes, I had
Perfect.
to make a quick edit this morning.
You're fine.
Because
I don't
Gary sent me something.
Yeah, I usually don't send these out till later this afternoon or tomorrow. So no worries.
Perfect.
I just wanted to make sure that I got my hands on your resources. So thank you so much.
Hey.
Take it away.
So I'm not really sure what I'm sharing. Am I sharing a slide deck? Because I'm not feeling like I am. All right. Sorry, y'all. I'm not sure.
You
what my
were,
goal
and then it
is.
went away.
Okay.
Try again.
That.
There's the share. Okay, you're good.
Does that look right? Okay.
Yep,
It's
yep.
set up differently for some reason, but that's fine. Okay, so good morning. I am excited to be here and pass on a few things. Again, I don't have tons today. There will be more information in February because when I reached out to our team, we had several that said they have things for February, but not so much for our January meeting. So just kind of knowing that, I'm going to start here. Again, my contact information. Feel free to email me if you have any questions, IEP related, SPED related. I can make sure I get you to the right people. My main focus is, of course, the IEP, supporting our paraprofessionals, supporting our charter schools, and then Tier 1 and Tier 2 behavior. So one of the big focuses we have right now is our non-compliance reports as we're moving through. So one of our goals as the ESC SPED department is to provide some examples and non-examples for our teachers and related service providers and everybody to use to help them when they're drafting their PLAFs. Unfortunately, TA does not give us exemplars. We don't get anything great that really encompasses everything on that rubric. So we just have to look at some different resources to find parts that we can use to kind of give us some ideas. So two of the big ones that I wanted to share with you, and these are linked, so when you get the slide deck, you can go here. One is the Iris Center. So if you click on that link at the top where it says Iris Center, that's going to take you to their main page. But if you click on this one, and I'll give it a try, we all know sometimes this works and it doesn't. Jackie, did that switch over to the Iris Center? Yay. Okay, love it when things work correctly. So this page is all focused on the PLAF. And as you scroll down to down here, it gives us some guiding questions and things to think about. And then here is where we have some of those examples. So again, pieces of information that we would want to include in that PLAF. So you can go here again, just to kind of see that. Then our other resource is our technical assistance IEP development document. The great news about this one is it was just updated in December and is on our Texas Sped Support website finally, so that we can all get to this document easily. We then want to scroll down to page 15. And you're going to see again a vague example and a more specific example. So this just gives you two resources that you can go to if you need to know a little bit more about it, or to send your staff to as they are developing these PLAFs. So of course, as we talk about that, I can't forget standards-based IEP. That is our huge push right now. We do have more LEAs engaging. We are very excited about that. We do still have our 3 options. We have face-to-face. There's one coming up in February with lots of space available. Click on there if you have somebody that wants to register. We have a virtual session on Monday and Tuesday. There are still a few spots there. And then we do have our self-paced TA Learn course. So if it just doesn't work for a teacher to be out of the classroom for 2 days, this is a great option. It's the same content. They just don't get those engaging activities that we have, but they still get the content and the rubric. So we recommend that if that's the only thing that they can do. So this kind of leads me into our next huge push. Another one of our goals is really engaging in coaching cycles with our participants who attend the training. So one thing we're realizing as we're rolling out this training is that there's a lot of content. Teachers leave a little overwhelmed and have all this knowledge and they're not really sure what to do with it when they get back. So when we're able to do coaching cycles with them and walk through using that rubric on their own work, it really is making an impact. So we really, really want to push for this. If you have teachers that completed this training, say back in 2021, 2022, they can still do coaching. Just reach out to me and we can get that scheduled. We can absolutely do it anytime. So before I move into the next part, any questions, SBIEP related, PLAF related, those types of things? Okay, so let's go into paraprofessionals. Another area that we have a lot of work that we've been developing. The first option is our roles and responsibilities. This is a 3-hour session that can be face-to-face or virtual. We can also come to you. So if you had a staff development day and wanted us to train a group of paraprofessionals, we can do that. Just reach out to me and we'll kind of talk through those options. The next one has become very popular. This is our Paraprofessionals Handbook for Effective Support in Inclusive Classrooms. Canvas course, self-paced. They get 9 hours of credit on this. It has been so popular that they cannot register right now. We opened it to 75 participants and we have ended up with 77 in there right now. We will open a new session on April 1st, so be watching for that. We also can do an MOU for this course. So if you have several that you want to ensure get into this, we can create an MOU and have a course specific to you. Then the other really exciting news is that coming soon, probably this summer, we are going to have a paraprofessional certification course. It is through Region 13, and there's 4 of us that are going to be trained so that we can provide this certification course for people within our region. So be kind of on the lookout for that. All right, so this kind of gets into Gary. So this is what I dropped in. Nope, sorry, this is Michael. So Michael Tucker, we've got some autism things. We have our grant cycle 2. So looking about this competitive grant, we want to make sure we apply in the spring. It lasts from 2024 to 2026. It's very early in the process, so there is a lot more information to come. Then the other 2 things that he wanted me to share with you is his session on FBA to BIP, how to conduct a functional behavior assessment, develop a behavior intervention plan, and really looking at the importance of a well completed, written, however you want to say that, FBA to really help guide those decisions in that BIP. And then his other one is the Quest, Unpacking Neurodiversity and Autism in Public Education. So another great autism training. Some things that we're looking at also in the world of behavior is effective classroom management. I'm partnering with Dr. Beth Ivy to roll out multiple options for classroom management. We're going to have one in, I believe we're trying to get it out for March. And then we're going to redo it just a little bit for the beginning of the year so we can really talk about what are those things that teachers need to put in place before school starts, the first day of school. And so this is a great one, not just for our SPED teachers, but also our gen ed teachers. How do we set up our classrooms to really help have a productive day, to reduce those problem behaviors, to have students engaged in those types of things? Then the other thing we're looking at is some behavior basics. You know, what are those behavior basics? Some behavior strategies, looking at tier 1 and tier 2. So this is one that will be great for our gen ed teachers and our SPED teachers. And then over the summer, we will have a behavior series, and that's where everybody on the behavior team kind of picks some topics. And we do about an hour and a half PD that's usually virtually, so that teachers, administrators, whoever can just pop into those and do an hour and a half. Okay, so here's Gary's. So he is doing a lot of SIL work, and that's Strategic Integration Liaison. And this is really where we're looking at that partnership, building that trust and collaboration. They work alongside the district leaders to develop and implement the goals that focus on the LEA's individual MTSS needs. We have a pretty big MTSS team, and we're rolling out different modules that go along with that. And so he really partners with the LEAs to help with that. So some things like resources and training, looking at things that MTSS network provides, tier, different resources that come, you know, with our statewide and regional tools. So just a lot of information comes through here. So if you're wanting to set up an MTSS collaboration process, he has included the kind of 5 steps in what this looks like. You know, of course, it's that initial consult in the beginning. Then we're going to commit. Then we look at some scheduling those different check-ins. Then looking at that landscape and data analysis, so pulling together all of that data, and then providing professional development. So looking at that data, looking at the needs, what type of professional development can we provide for your LEA to help out? So if you have questions for that, Gary is definitely the one to get with. So I included his contact. He also gave me a QR code, so feel free to scan that or use that link to get more information. And that gets me to the end. That's all I have for today.
Great. I do have a couple of things. Number one, I
Yes.
just wanted to say thank you for providing PD for paraprofessionals. I know that's a big piece, but that's often an oversight on many of our service centers resources. So I really appreciate that. And I'm probably going to be encouraging a couple of my charter leaders to sign up for some of that, their staff to sign up for that. And I already lost my second. I'm going to put your April first date on my events page. And I failed to see that. Is it there? It probably is. Or did you just mention that April 1st coming?
It is not on the slide. Would it be helpful if I add that on there? Because I can
Yeah.
put session.
Just so our charters are aware that that's coming, that would be great. And then I can include it on my events page. And I just want to say, I agree that that kind of training, because that's another area after staffing, then it's classroom management. And I love that you said and validated that it's not it's good for gen ed teachers too, because I'm hearing that a lot. So and then lastly, on Gary's piece, was that similar to when I went with you guys to, I won't name the campus, but when I went with you to the charter campus, is that a similar process or is this more intense?
No, this is much more intense.
Okay, it sounded like that. That's why I was curious. Okay.
Through the tier network, we have some requirements of things that we need to do and how we partner with schools and how we provide support. So this has very specific guidelines on what we need to do. Whereas what we did before, we were just kind of there to assist. It was almost more of tech assist than a formal. And I think that's probably why he puts on this slide that LEA commitment. Like there truly is an agreement to what we're doing versus us just kind of coming in and doing a little bit and problem solving along the way.
And that's why I asked, because while I do believe what we did for our charter school friend was effective,
yes,
I can see where this can really make some change. So I appreciate that.
And what I like about this and the whole MTSS framework is the amount of resources and tools that we have. So once those areas are identified, we're able to provide all those resources and help them get things set up.
Sounds great.
One of the thoughts that I had kind of as you were talking, going back to our paraprofessionals, that Canvas course has a book that also comes with it. So once our participants complete the course, we do wait for them to complete the course because we get a lot that sign up and don't finish. But the ones that complete the course will actually mail them the book that goes along with it. So they have that resource in their hands and they can go back and reference that. We also, through our department, will do some technical assistance as follow-up if requested. So maybe you have a couple of paras that you would like for us to just come and meet with for like an hour or something to talk about things. We can do that too.
That's awesome because I spent a good part of my day yesterday kind of looking through my field notes and finding resources, and that's why I mentioned that there's just not a lot out there but this is perfect because I saw all those resources that our special programs provides. And I'm going to encourage that there's some other paraprofessional sessions offered at general, like customer service and that kind of thing, because I think we used to do that. So I want to just kind of tell our participants that I'm aware that that might be a deficiency and I want to advocate for that. So, and I want to also thank you and your department for having that available.
Definitely. And, you know, as we're kind of talking through that, I know we just talked paraprofessionals, we've talked coaching for teachers through SBIEP. You know, we can provide some of that technical assistance too for those gen ed teachers. We're not leaving them out on any of this, you know, kind of like that experience you're talking about. We were in and out of gen ed teachers' classrooms.
Yeah.
So we can provide support for them too that fit under these different areas. You know, it's not, we don't want it to be only SPED people can come to our trainings and get the resources. They have
Perfect.
our SPED kids in their classrooms, and we need to support them the best we can to help them out.
That's good to know, because I may be sharing your contact and
Okay.
Gary's contact with a school that I visited recently. So,
Sounds good.
okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Christy,
All
as
right, thank you
usual.
so much.
All right, we are going to move to Lauren Smith and Trinity Bankhead to talk to us about curriculum-based PLCs. And
Yes.
ladies, thank you for being with us from the beginning. This is such a long meeting for your first one to join us, but I'm really looking forward and excited to hearing what you have to share. So.
Thank you. We're happy to be here, and it's been really helpful information to listen in on. We are currently partnering with Chapel Hill, and we've partnered with Newman Academy in the past. So we would
already
love to
knew
get
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah, I wrote that down when I heard you say that earlier. So well, I am Lauren Smith, and I am the lead coach here for Texas Lesson Study PLCs. So essentially, all that means is we are focused on curriculum-based and problem-solving PLCs. So we're just going to talk about why having a proven process for PLCs is really critical to help teachers really internalize and use curriculum and instructional materials really well. Hope you probably know that big HB 1605 that has been passed. So there is a big movement and shift in the state of Texas to really focus on knowledge building, curriculum, and instructional materials for teachers. So we are a vetted program under ESF, and you can see up there in the right-hand corner that lesson study falls under particular levers for effective schools framework. And we also align to Texas instructional leadership and all the things that the state is trying to align right now in terms of language and processes and systems. So we are just a proven process in which teachers drive improvements to teaching and learning through that collective efficacy and collaborative action research. And our mindset needs to shift from traditional planning mode to internalization mode. And we work with principals, assistant principals, instructional coaches and leaders and teachers to help those mindsets shift so that we can do the work that needs to be prioritized for kiddos. And so part of our role is really through the PLC process is helping teachers find trust and joy in the curriculum and materials that have been faithfully adopted by districts with very intentional and deep internalization. And we begin with unit and lesson internalization. So we'll talk more about that in a minute. Teachers engage in continuous cycles of improvement. So we go through cycles of teachers, and we'll talk about what that cycle can entail or should entail on any given good PLC. And cycles can run from anywhere from 3 weeks to 9 weeks. That's typically what they run. We try to do short bursts of cycles with teachers so that they're measuring the impact of their internalization and execution of curriculum, and also strategies, targeted strategies that a team of teachers has landed on together. And so during this time, teachers do choose a problem of practice to focus on. They plan those instructional solutions that will work for them and their students. We also engage as we go into deeper implementation, rehearsal and practice of particular components of a lesson that teachers may not feel as comfortable with or confident with, or that they know are components that are critical to student success, and they would like to practice those targeted strategies so that the first teach is the best teach. And then we also observe and teach and share the results of our work. So we'll talk more about observations in a minute. And Trinity is going to talk to you about that shift.
Hi, I'm Trinity Bankhead, a Texas Lesson Study Coach here. And the question I want to talk about is how is internalization different from traditional planning? So with traditional planning, that's more like we're sourcing all of our materials. Teachers are spending their time and their energy looking for materials. Maybe teachers pay teachers, the internet, just sourcing materials and figuring out what it is that they're going to teach. They're designing all of their lessons, their PowerPoints, their assessments, everything from scratch. And with internalizing, they're shifting their mindset and they're able to focus on the how of teaching and that teacher craft and the unique needs of their learners and their students. So they're using their high quality instructional materials and they're understanding them, they're internalizing them, they're making annotations, and they're collectively talking about how do we want to implement this? How is this going to work with our learners? They're customizing it, they're anticipating and preparing, talking about those student misconceptions. And a quote that really resonated with me from TNTP research is, once your students have access to high quality instructional material, ensure your educators have the support to use them well. And that's where we step in. We're ensuring that we are the support to ensure that teachers know how to use these high quality instructional materials.
And so we have two main pathways that we can partner with districts and campuses. And just it would not be accurate for me to say that we are not a charge for service. We don't bring any revenue currently right now. There are pathways for our program to do that, but we are grant funded for a period of 2 years. And then after that, we can give technical support to districts. So the goal is sustainability of practices and processes, and to help set campuses up for success so that when we do gradually release this to the campus, that they are set up for success no matter if there's turnover, because we know that that is inevitable, and when teachers come and go, so that there's people and processes in place who can continue this work. So our two main pathways are where we can come in and we can co-facilitate alongside a campus or teacher leader. Usually it's a campus leader or an instructional coach. And a lot of our charters and smaller districts do not have instructional coaches. So it's usually the campus principal. We do partner with teacher leads who have a strong desire to lead, but we know that it is, teachers do a lot and they wear many hats. And so it is hard to release this to teachers unless they're completely willing to take this on. So usually it's the campus leadership, but we can co-facilitate alongside them and coach them up to build capacity in whoever takes this on. And we teach them the TEA internalization protocols for strong curriculum. There's usually a 4 to 5 step process for any type of internalization that includes lesson, units, and as we go deeper, we would look at student work analysis, and so forth. And we have a proven process with lesson study that helps teachers understand how to deepen their knowledge of content and pedagogy. And then the second pathway is we coach campus instructional leadership team, the whole team, on the internalization process using high quality instructional materials to its fullest potential. So we really want teachers to maintain trust, joy, and we know that the research is showing when a campus is aligned vertically through content areas with strong curriculum that is research-based and evidence-based, that we start to move the needle. Of course, that is a 3 to 5 year trajectory, right? To see like huge improvements in your data. But we know without that PLC process, if teachers don't have that anchoring curriculum to ground them in what they collectively discuss and make decisions on, we know that PLC isn't as sticky as we want or need it to be. And then, so I mentioned the initial implementation stage versus deeper implementation stage. So we take our lesson study process that includes a 5-phase cycle, and we include these internalization protocols. If you are a current Eureka Math or Amplifier Carnegie user, you're probably familiar with these internalization protocols, but these protocols can be used for any high quality instructional material. We have adapted the TEA protocols to also be non-specific to Amplify or Eureka, because the 4-step process is very powerful across the board. We do partner with some very large campuses where we are making this work very successfully. And teachers are just really starting to deepen their understanding of how to use their materials well without going outside of those materials. And not purchasing things that are probably not TEKS aligned, so that they're not spending their own money and burning themselves out, right? So that we want that teacher retention to remain in place. So we know that one of the #1 reasons teachers leave the profession in the first 5 years is lack of support. So this is another way to support them in, feeling confident in their abilities. And so initially, we help teachers master unit and lesson internalization. We know that if they don't understand the big scope and goals of an entire unit or module of instruction, then they won't be effective in their daily instruction. So we really help teachers master at the unit and lesson level first. And then once they master that throughout a cycle or two, or let's say maybe they have been users of a particular curriculum or products for 2 or 3 years, and they've mastered unit and lesson internalization already, we come in and kind of, make sure that that's happening before we move forward. And then we go into deeper implementation where teachers analyze student work through a particular protocol. We also may engage in some learning walks where we're looking for evidence of internalization and also pacing. We know that pacing is a hindrance to effective instruction as well. And then we also engage in some lesson rehearsal, which is extremely powerful for teachers to engage in that and to allow their colleagues to provide feedback. And then we engage in some lesson observations where we might film portions of a lesson where the PLC team is collectively determining this problem of practice or a targeted strategy that they're researching and really honing in on. And we may film small portions of lessons to debrief on and reflect on and name next steps. And then next, the internalization process does require pre-work for the coach and admin. So you can see just an example, each protocol that we provide teachers really gives clear guidance on what the pre-work should be. And it's not anything overwhelming. It's what teachers should be doing outside of the PLC or planning time outside of that space. But internalization is way less cognitive load than planning from scratch. So we really focus on helping teachers use what's already available to them, and we allow them to name what their pre-work should be also to empower them to name their next steps and goals for their collective learning time. And then Trinity's going to talk about non-negotiables.
So here are a few of our PLC non-negotiables. So like Lauren was mentioning, one of our options is to come to the campus weekly, and we have our standard template for our agenda. So right here where it says weekly agendas aligned to PLC objectives to maximize time. So we have the amount of time we're spending. We have our agenda guiding questions. We have reflection questions. So like what has become more clear since the last time we met, keeping that continuity. Then we also have our teacher pre-work. So here we are intentional about the pre-work Lauren just talked about, having a conversation and some accountability around did everyone do the pre-work, and that will kind of shape what PLC looks like for the day. We also have conversations around pacing, the pacing calendar and the timeline as well. So, and then we also have whatever protocol we're doing. So for this example, it says unit internalization. So we have like a note capture to capture our notes for internalizing, but teachers, most of the evidence is going to be in their material. So they're spending their time writing notes that are going to help them when they actually implement instruction when they teach. So this is just here to like have some evidence of PLC, but everything is going into the teacher's materials. Another component that we have is the roles and celebrations, and then the norms. So we are really big on promoting psychological safety for teachers and really building that collective efficacy. So the norms, the teachers work at before we even have our first POC, they work together to create those norms. Then we have roles such as the norm enforcer who makes sure that we're actually adhering to those norms. And then we also have celebrations to help build the team as well. So we capture those, and we also have team wins. So teachers have the opportunity to share, hey, this is what we tried last week, and this is a celebration that we have that's tied to it. And then the last component that is really beneficial is planning for next PLC. So teachers name the next steps for PLC as we flow through the process and protocols. So the teachers, when we get to the last 5 minutes of PLC, the facilitators, we guide them and ask them, okay, based on what we did today, what should we be doing next? Which protocol lends itself to next week's PLC? What tasks do we need to complete? So that pre-work, what materials do we need to bring? And then who might we need to invite? So maybe we need to invite a specialist to this PLC. So teachers are really making those decisions right there. And as far as Lauren was saying about sustainability, so we coach, if it's the leaders that we're working with, we coach the leaders on how to create these agendas. And if we're coming out weekly, then we start doing these for you, and then we start gradually releasing this process to you.
I'm going to skip this little slide right now because you'll have the slides. And just, we do offer some summer trainings. One of the non-negotiables that we ask when we do partner, because we are grant funded and we have requirements from TEA, that we have people attend a training either during the summer, or we come to you to provide the training on the protocols and our process prior to the first PLC with teachers. We won't engage with teachers until we've trained instructional leadership on these protocols so that they're aware of what their role needs to look like as well, so that we're all partnering together. And then Trinity's going to put an interest survey in the chat, and it's also a form of a very short diagnostic to see if your level of readiness so that we can support you. And again, grant funded. So we would love to spread this work as much as possible to help teachers be as effective as they possibly can.
Thank you. Again, very timely. I'm putting your little survey in my notes here. Very timely because I had another campus I was visiting, just needing some teacher 101 and the basics. And as a former ESF facilitator myself, just recognizing all of this, I love the word sticky, but recognizing all of this, and that it does start with that leader. And I can tell you, yes, charter leaders have a lot on their plate, but this is worth it because I've witnessed it, and a very small charter make a huge difference, and it got them out of school improvement and all the monitoring. Now that was the ESF, but there's a lot of elements to this that overlap. And so really proud of that school. And I can see where, especially coming out and helping the leader, and then the videos and just all of it makes a huge difference. As a former principal myself, you know, that's where the wins happen. And so so excited that I had you guys be a part of this today. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I don't see any questions. I do see Kelly came back on and offered a comment, so I will add that to my notes. Thank you, Kelly, for clarifying that. She said TEA sent notice today that the 2023-24 final entitlement amounts are available for ESA and SPED, and not that LEAs could amend for carryover, as I stated earlier. So Thank you, Kelly, for clarifying that. And next up, we have Andy. And Andy, I panicked, and then we got really into the weeds with our last two presenters, which I love, love, love. So thank you for being willing to jump on and listen and being a part of it. So Andy, I'm going to let you take it over, and you're going to talk to us about Discovery Ed.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here with us today. We appreciate you. I am going to share my screen briefly. And all right, you should be seeing a Discovery Education screen. So if you take the instructional services contract with Region 11, you do have access, your staff, your students, all have access to Discovery Education experience. And so my goal here today is to make sure that you're introduced to it and make sure you're introduced to me so you know where to come for support. And I'm just going to briefly put a slide up here. I'm working just live. I don't have a presentation for you, but I do want to put this slide up here with my contact information. The easiest way is either through phone or email. And I'm available for support, whether that's technical or just general program support, training, or anything related to Discovery Education. I am an arm or a leg, or however you want to turn, a hand between you and Discovery Education to try to be some localized and personalized support for you. So you may be asking what Discovery Ed is. We purchased something through the Service Center. We all have something called Discovery Education Experience. It used to be called United Streaming if you've been in education for a certain amount of time. And what it is it is a warehouse, a clearinghouse of all sorts of resources for you and your students, and teaching strategies, a whole bank of teaching strategies for your teachers. So I'm going to give you just a little tour of this briefly. I know you've been in the weeds quite a bit, so I'm going to try to keep this a little lighter, looser, and then I'm happy to follow up with you at any point. But what you can find inside Discovery Education are resources for, as you can see here, virtually any subject matter. They've done a lot with their careers and workplace skills. So if you're working with secondary students, they're doing a lot to try to prepare our workforce for the future. And you may be asking, okay, so what kind of content is it? I'm going to click on this social studies channel here. They, much like a TV network or something, they divide their content into what they call channels. And in each of those channels, they divide it on further. You're going to kind of get a theme here. Everything is either curated or filtered because they have, as of last count, over 161,000 pieces of content to offer you, which is far too much for any of us. So in my social studies channel, again, I can filter on down by grade levels and also by specific subjects within social studies. And some of the things they offer in there are and this is available again to you, your staff, your students. Some of these students can find on their own. Some are like these activities are only assignable by staff. So they have a quiz feature where your teachers can create a quiz that is either a quiz embedded to something like a PowerPoint, or it is embedded into a video that they've gotten through Discovery Education. So if you have purchased something like Edpuzzle in the past for your school, this is something that could effectively replace that. It has the same functionality, does the same thing for your teachers, and you're already paying for it. So that is something that it's able to do to allow students to watch a quiz watch a video, and then a quiz question pops up in the middle of it to check for understanding, and then they're able to move on through it. It allows for a lot of personalized learning and differentiation as there's so many, there's multimodal content here. So this is just a view of what you could see within Discovery Education. One of the features I like is I'm going to click on the Need to Know channel. This one is geared primarily toward elementary students, but as a former social studies teacher, I can tell you I could use this with my high school students as well. And what it is that it is activities and lessons. And I'm just going to click on this lesson really quickly. Lessons to kind of tie today their existing knowledge to the lesson that they're learning. So this one about civil rights is going to bring in catalyst. Now, catalyst is probably going to be a vocabulary word that your upper elementary students are going to use in science, and now we're bringing it into social studies, and they're going to use that vocabulary word to tie into their previous knowledge of what have you done in your life previously to now let's apply that into the civil rights movement that you're going to learn about today. So this is just kind of an example of what is available. As far as a lesson, it has a video embedded and everything, and all of this is available for you and your staff to use. Sorry, I'm gonna have to back up here a bit. It's available for you and your staff to use with students. It's free of charge as part of the contract that you already have with Region 11. There are also thousands and thousands of videos, and these are all vetted. They're quality. Many of them come from the Discovery Channel itself or from some of their partners. So it's not asking students to go out to YouTube, out into the frontier that is YouTube. It's something that's vetted within Discovery Education, so you know that it's something safe for your students. And one last feature that I'll pull up here for you is your teachers also, or actually two final features. This can be broken down by standards. So, and this is gonna, Jackie, this is gonna be some of my own ignorance here. If your school uses the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, the TEKS, they can find individual activities based on each individual TEK for each grade level and subject area. If you use that, and again, that's my ignorance about the charter school process, to be very honest. And then one more thing that I did want to point out, and then I will turn it back over to Jackie here, or see if you have any questions.
It's all applicable, so you're
Okay.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you so much. Are these instructional strategies? Yeah, let me get down here. They call them SOS instructional strategies. And what they are strategies that you and I have used in our lives at some point, such as this 3 truths, 1 lie, but now it is applied into a classroom context, and they're all gathered here in one place for teachers to go dig into. So 3 truths and 1 lie. Again, I'll get out of this really quickly, but I just wanted to highlight this. It gives teachers, this is the skills we're working on today. These are the materials you'll need, and these are the steps to follow. So it's a way of, I would think, especially for newer teachers, or teachers that just need a little something extra. It's a way for them to go find something that's familiar, comfortable, and already laid out for them. And they just find the content that applies to their subject area or grade level and plug it in here. And they're able to begin building a lesson that they can use for their students that is research-based and is vetted and is curated for them. So this is all available to you as part of your contract. It's something that I definitely encourage you and your staff to use. And again, if you would like to contact me and either for support or to visit more, I provide professional development and training for your staff. And this is my contact information here. And with that, Jackie, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Okay, great. So can you are you able to send me this slide and then some of those links maybe? Or is that possible?
Certainly. I'll send you some information. I wanted to, it shows better live, but I'll
Yeah,
give you something
yeah,
to
yeah.
share.
Okay, great. Thanks, Andy, and thank you for being flexible with our schedule today. I appreciate it.
Thanks. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, last up, Brittany, you've been here for a minute. Thank you for hanging with us. Brittany's going to talk to us something I think is on everybody's mind. And so I know our participants that will be joining us via the recording, I know a lot of them will be interested in this as well. Again, another timely topic, but she's going to be talking about the intruder detection audits, IDA portal, and required compliance survey. So thank you, Brittany.
Yes, ma'am. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. All right. So I know this is not everyone's favorite topic, but it's not going anywhere since the tragedy in Uvalde. So districts and charters are subject to intruder detection audits. If you haven't already been into the IDA portal, reach out to me if you don't know how to access it, because we actually do have a compliance survey that is coming up due January 31st. But I'll have more information on that as we go through this presentation. So my name is Brittany Cronin. I'm the IDA support specialist. Let me see if they'll let me click. So if you haven't had an intruder detection audit, it essentially consists of 3 phases. So phase 1 is the inspector will attempt to gain entry to the facility using 3 random secondary doors. If they gain entry, then they will go immediately to the office, check in, and meet with the admin or whoever their designee is. Phase 2, the inspector, when they do check in, will meet with the administrator and designee, and they will go and check all external doors to ensure they are locked and functioning properly. There is also phase 3 is more of it's based on district policy. So if your charter or district has an interior locked door policy, so when students are present, those doors are to be kept closed and locked. They will go through and check, I believe it's 8 to 10 doors to kind of ensure that that's being followed. If there is a violation on that, that is not considered a finding for TEA. It is just a district flag. So the superintendent will be aware of it, but it's not a finding through TEA. And the final one is going to be the door sweep logs. So you're required to keep 6 weeks of exterior door sweep logs that have to be completed weekly, whatever format that is. Right now, TEA is leaving it up to you. It may change as we move through this process, but you have to be able to present those to the inspector. Monthly before these audits, we will reach out and let you know, hey, one or more of your campuses are scheduled to be audited. We're not allowed to tell you what campus it is, but either the superintendent or their designee will be contacted depending on what is set up in the portal. And also, if you have a district police department, the chief of police there will be notified. So accessing the portal, again, if you haven't been into it, please reach out to me. This is the web address, and I sent this presentation to Jackie so she can share it out to access the portal. One thing that we've run into with charters that is very, very important is if you have 2 different charters that have district IDs, you have to have 2 separate logins to the IDA portal to complete both corrective actions if required and compliance measures with the campuses associated with those unique IDs. So do you have a question, Jackie?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understood. So and I'm just gonna, I think I see Anika, she's at least still listed. So FWAFWA and Texas Center for academic
School of
art.
the Arts.
Yeah, School of the Arts, thank
Uh-huh.
you. She serves as their superintendent for both campuses, but they're separate. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, if they have two different unique IDs, then we have to have two separate email addresses because it doesn't matter if they're in different regions, it's based on district ID. So
Okay.
they will have to have a separate either contact or email address
Okay, we
for
have,
those.
and we have another Brazos River and Cross Timbers, both share a superintendent, but they're separate LEAs.
Okay, yeah, I'll have to look. I know we've been doing some research with the Brazos River and
Okay.
Cross Timber, so I'll definitely
Okay.
reach out to them because that's been some of the confusion, especially with this compliance survey coming up,
Sure.
because you have to complete one for each district
Okay.
if you receive funding.
I just want to make sure I understood, and then
Yeah.
then I can help you with that. Just let me know what you need.
Awesome, thank you so much. So you can add, once you're in the portal, you may add up to 4 additional users. It's very important to mark them as active whenever you do, because it's one of those little drop-down boxes that sometimes gets missed. But if they're not marked as active, they're not going to be able to log in. So they won't be able to recover a password. They won't be able to do anything because essentially they don't exist in the system. Another important topic with the dashboard is all training materials can be accessed, and it's down here. Please click here for training resources. So the SOPs that list out all those definitions and spell out what's expected, what's considered secured, what's considered not. All of that information, as well as the training videos, are located in the portal. So very important, the school safety standards compliance survey. It is due January 31st, so it is coming up very quickly, and this is really a collaborative effort between school administrators, your safety department, and that sometimes if you have business office people, because it's asking about expenditures on the SPAT grant, the SSFG, and the SAFE grant cycle 1. So if you haven't started already, I would recommend getting to it as quickly as possible. And again, one must be completed for each unique district ID. So if you have more than one charter and you don't have access to that other account, please, please, please reach out to me so we can get that situated. So again, this is just in regards to grant funding. You can access the compliance survey when you log in. There's a compliance tab. And another very important measure of this is you can have your school safety people fill it out, or whoever you've designated as the contact for that. But you have to be logged into the superintendent account to complete step 7, which is the affirmation and the signature portion. So someone can complete all 6 steps, but you have to be logged into that superintendent account to review and sign it. And start right here, we are doing a stakeholder engagement focus group. If you are interested in participating, and I would really like to see at least a few charters involved in this, because this is a statewide thing. They're going to be via Zoom meetings. But this is the stakeholder group that we're kind of working with TEA to get together and figure out how to kind of improve this process. But it's not required, but if you're interested, we'd appreciate it. That survey is not to be confused with the school safety allotment survey, which is due February 12th. It opened January 5th, but was sent out directly through Qualtrics, and it can be accessed at this link. And it is regarding expenditures for the school safety allotment for the 2023 fiscal year, and it is not related at all to grant funding. We've had some people kind of confuse that a little bit. And Kelly Crane was so sweet to me, and she also shared this out, how to access your SSA funding amount. So here are the steps for it. It's on line 33. If you run into any issues, feel free to reach out, because I've sat down with a couple of people and we've gone through it together. If you don't have the answers, or I don't have the answers, I can get us into contact with someone that can, especially since this is wrapping up so quickly. And that's all I have. If you need any technical assistance with the portal or have questions about the compliance survey or the SSA, feel free to reach out to me at either by email or this is my direct line. Does anyone have any questions?
I don't see any, but Brittany, please use me to help whatever you need with charters, and whether it be the surveys or the trainings or the informational sessions, gathering sessions, just I'm out and about with them, so I would love it.
Oh, me too.
Sure, that's what I'm here for. All right, so that wraps it up. I do have a few things, and since in the interest of time, I'm sitting here trying to get this on, and so what I'll probably do, let me cancel that. I'm gonna share some links here with my live folks, and then they'll be in the resource page too. So a couple of things I wanted to touch on. Oops, that didn't work. Let me be sure I get this for you really quick. Sorry for the delay. First thing is I want to talk to you about the ISS Contract Digital Tool Survey that went out to most superintendents through, I believe, the instructional listserv, but I'm going to include it here as well, and then also on my resource page. This is so that we can better know how, and that came from Kathy Sewell, Dr. Sewell, so we can better know how to serve you, what's working, what isn't. That was messy, but the first thing in the chat, and again, these will be included on our resource page that I send out, is the page that I've been referencing with all the deadlines. That's on the ESC's charter school web page, and then on that you click general information, and then from there scroll down and you'll see all the updated deadlines, dates, sessions coming up, and I still have a few to add that I learned about today. So that's that first link, and then behind that, Contract Digital Tool Survey. That's the one I was just talking about. We want to know about products, training, and support that you utilize or that you may need. I will include that survey in my resource page. And then just a quick thing, as I'm coming here to start this meeting, I was stopped about the TEAC system has a new process and it's totally revamping. And so there'll be a the trainer coming up. And I think there's about 8 charters or so that are involved in that. And it's a big deal. So I'll be getting that information out along with my colleague. And so that's from TEAC's resource system. And then just a quick update. We talked last about EdCamp, and I have not been able to nail that down, but it's still in the back of my head. I haven't forgotten about it. It may end up being a summer project or a summer session and a spring project for me. So I just wanted to give you a quick update about that. So, and that closes the meeting. We had a lot of information today. So those of you that are still with us, feel free to use the recording when it comes out to go back and rehear, relearn, and get those contacts. Again, as always, I'll have the resource page for you so that you can quickly use that guide. But I really appreciate you being a part of this, whether you were live or you're joining us on the recording. And our next meeting is February the 29th. So we don't normally have many February 29th. So that'll help you remember that it's a leap year and it'll be on leap day. So February the 29th is our roundtable meeting, our next one. And then our advisory board will be meeting before then. on February 13th. And that's just a few charter leaders who helped me kind of shape these meetings and shape the future of professional development. So looking forward to seeing you all out in the field this spring, if I haven't already. And I hope that you have a wonderful winter and spring until I see you on February the 29th. Take care. Thanks, guys. Bye, John.